Hey everybody, kristyglass here. Welcome to Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater 2020. This year's sponsor is Knit and Escape. Knit and Escape is a retreat in the Catskills that my partner Eve Ashworth and myself created. Unfortunately, we had to postpone it for 1 whole year, but we cannot possibly wait that long to see you. So, are you ready for Knit and Escape Virtual? It's happening December 3rd through 5th. It's going to be filled with free demos, a marketplace, and classes. We'll have the ins and outs of brioche, Icelandic knitting, knitting with sequins and beads, knitted jewelry, introduction to crochet, swatching, slip stitches, and much, much more. We'll have a live tea tasting, a farm tour, and our vendors will be a fabulous flock of indie dyers, brilliant bag makers, spectacular spinners, potters, fiberistas. Everybody's going to be there. We have instruction from around the globe, including Brazil, Iceland, UK, Austria, Switzerland, and of course, the USA. Eve and I will be there, as well as Casapinka, Leslie Ann Robinson, and Amanda Solomon. Come join us for our Knit the Rainbow charity event. It's our Friday evening of Foundation Fabulousness. There will be charities representing every color of the rainbow, including Knit the Rainbow. We have String Thing Studio, Nitty City, Jonah Hands, Tatter Blue Library, and Power People and Green Bronx Machine. Mark your calendars December 3rd through 5th, and if you would like a chance to win an all-access pass, head on over to knitandescape.com/knitescape virtual event, and that has dashes in between each word, but you don't have to worry about it because the link is underneath this video. If you don't want to miss a thing, also follow us on Instagram at Knit and Escape. I just want to let you know that I received hundreds, I did not count, but I received hundreds of submissions. It has taken me a long time to work through all of these videos. No regrets. I love checking my email every day and seeing the video that you sent me. This is a supersized version of Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater because I was able to get so many participants from around the globe. Greece, Bulgaria, Finland, Australia, Canada, Israel. So many places and people are represented in this video. It is truly spectacular. Editor's note, I had to edit this down to get a reasonable sized file and presentation, so please don't feel bad if I had to edit out some of the extras that you sent me. Pop your popcorn, grab your whip. It's time for you to tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
I'm Billy, and I'm from the Show and Tell Vintage Knitting Podcast. This is my evening in Edinburgh by Casapinka. The yarn I used is Neighborhood Fiber. The colorway is Truxton Circle. My vintage buttons, let me come in close so you can see them, are from Dusty Buttons. She would have been at Rhinebeck this time. Well, anyway, this would have been my first Rhinebeck, so I guess I'll see you in person in 2021. And in the meantime, check me out on Show and Tell.
I'm wearing the Canyon Road sweater by Casapinka, knit in Miss Bab's Yummy 2-ply. And my son is wearing the Little Shoreline vest by Carrie Bostic Hogue in Valley Yarns Superwash. And the socks are the perfect newborn sock pattern made with leftovers from my sweater. My name is Bay Jenna on Ravelry, and I can't wait to see everyone else's sweaters.
My name is Penny Johns. I'm from Long Island, New York, and this is the Little Lulu by Casapinka. I've made it with Asylum fiber out of her DK weight, and it's called Everything But the Kitchen Sink. You can find me on Ravelry as Seesaw432, and the same is for Instagram.
Sweater by the beautiful Casapinka, my friend. The name of the pattern is Raise the Woof, W-O-O-F. It's on Ravelry. I also have a sweater for my puppy, and he also loves pink too. Don't you love pink? You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram, Corry Knits.
Hi Christy, this is Constance, and I'm here to share my Rhinebeck sweater. This is the Mary Queen of Scots by Alice Starmore, and it is from her book Tudor Roses. I completed it this year, and I worked it up in her yarn, the Alice Starmore Hebridean 2-ply and the Alice Starmore Hebridean 3-ply, and I'm absolutely ecstatic with it. I think it's absolutely beautiful and so exquisite, and I'm just so pleased with it. And I am on social media. You can find me on Instagram as CleoCMC, that's CLEOCMC, and I also have a YouTube channel, Stitching Over the Days.
My name is Tisha Cullen, and for my Rhinebeck sweater, I have knit the Elizabeth Woodville by Alice Starmore from her book Tudor Roses. The yarn, Alice Starmore's yarn, Virtual Yarns, is fabulous. So if you're interested in seeing how else I have styled this piece, join me on Instagram and let's all enjoy and knit on.
This is called the Novice Cardigan. It's by Petite Knits, the mohair edition. This is my third version of it, and it's the best cardigan I've ever knit. It's so relaxing, and it's just a perfect pattern. This is cake wool.
You want some cake, 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 cake?
Mohair, which I love. It's very soft and very pretty, and I recommend it. My name is NC Austin, and you can be in touch with me on Instagram and Ravelry at NC Austin Knits.
I'm here to tell you about my Rhinebeck sweater. It is the Frida Sweater by Gregoria Fibers, knit in cake wool.
You want some cake, 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 cake?
It is 3 strands of mohair held together, and it makes for a very warm garment. What I really love about it is just this beautiful puff sleeve, sort of Victorian feel. It's unlike anything I've ever knit. The construction's so interesting with sort of the lace detail here and the boning that's effectively created within the pattern itself. And for me, this purple is totally out of my comfort zone, but I ended up really loving it.
This is my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater. It is the Half Moon Tea by Dragon Horde Designs, and it is my first fingering weight sweater, so I'm super excited to have it done. The yarn is my own hand dyed. The blue is my favorite blue jeans. The green is Voltage, and the gray is Pacific Mist. I didn't do the color work on the sleeves, and I made the body longer. You can find me on Ravelry as Bewitched Fiber Co. and Instagram as Bewitched_Fiber_Co.
This year, instead of 2 Rhinebeck sweaters, I have done 3, or I'm gonna have 3 sweaters. So this is one of my Rhinebeck sweaters called La Hava, which will be coming out very, very soon. And it is my obligatory work in progress Rhinebeck sweater. It's designed by me, Tristan Molina, or Dragon Horde Designs, and it is using my yarn, Dragon Horde yarn, in Obsidian Salt, Fox Demon, and Dorcas. And it is actually using some of the slub yarn and sparkle. This is going to be my Friday night fringe events sweater dress. For this year, for Rhinebeck 2020, I wanted to wear my Autumn Court sweater, which is a design by me, Tristan Molina. Autumn Court was made top down in the round yoke style, and it is fingering weight by Dragon Horde yarn in the Selena colorway, boudoir, word marks, and then held with Surrey lace in my cereal colorway. And it has some fun details on the sleeves, as well as matching details on the bottom hem. For the Sunday at Rhinebeck, I decided to design a new sweater for it, which won't actually be coming out until a little bit later. Here is my Salem sweater. It is knit top down in the round using a strand of fingering weight and a strand of lace weight mohair. This is a great, just oversized kind of boxy fit. It has a high-low hem. Here is the fabulous lace cable detail on the side with some trademark little baubles on here. This is the sister sweater to my Spellman sweater, which I wore last year for Rhinebeck. And this is using my yarn, which is Dragon Horde yarn, in the Prudence colorway and Dorcas colorway held together, which are two Sabrina characters from the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
My name's Laura and I live on the south coast of the UK, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Spellman sweater by Dragon Horde Designs. Now I chose this sweater because I thought it would be a really good match for the yarn that I had that I really wanted to use. So the yarn is La Bien-Aimée Merino Sport in the Quartz Fumé colourway, and I only had 3 skeins, so I wasn't quite sure if I had enough for a sweater, which was partly why I picked this one, because it's cropped length and it is meant for fingering weight held with mohair, but I did think that the sport would probably work. I didn't do a gauge swatch, I did just cast on with the recommended needles and hope for the best, but luckily it all turned out fine. I did use the helical method to alternate my skeins, and that was probably the most complicated thing throughout. I also left off the bobbles that you have on the sleeve just because I quite like the cables on their own. And you can find me on Ravelry as well as West Beach Knits.
Welcome to Madison, Wisconsin!
We got donuts. I'm Crystal Happy, Lyrical Knitster on Ravelry and Instagram. I am wearing a Andrea Mowry Wool and Honey in Knit Circus Yarns Silly Old Bear Gradient, and I finished just one sleeve. And I'm also wearing the Pop Crop Cardi by Amba O'Brien, and I'm wearing that in Dragon Horde Yarns Sweater Weather. That's this color, and this color is also called Sweater Weather by Earl Grey Fiber Company.
I'm Emily. I'm KnitWit8 on both Ravelry and Instagram. The sweater I'm wearing is the first sweater I've made! This is the Carved Pullover by Emily Haver. I use Knit Pick Swish Worsted in Pucker because hot pink is the only pink in my book. I just finished these Hubble Bubble Double Trouble socks using Lollipop Yarns striping yarn in Witch's Brew.
I'm Melissa Jenkins, Melissa_Jenkins on Instagram, and Melissa M. Jenkins, I think, on Ravelry. I am wearing the Andrea Mowry's Throwback Cardigan, and I used a vintage yarn helixed with Cascade 220 and then other Cascade 220s and some leading men fiber arts. Thank you! And then underneath I have, oh, I'm not finished with this, but you know, it's my first cardigan, so that's exciting. And then this is the Ranunculus by Midori. I can't say the name very good, but the Ranunculus, and it's with some silk cotton.
I am Lightning on Ravelry. My name is Lynn, and on Instagram I'm Lightning on Rav. This is the Rainier, and it is made of Quinson Company puffin, and I'm super proud because it's pretty deep stash.
I'm Sherry Benson from Deerfield, Illinois, north of Chicago, and my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater is the Nocturne sweater from Alicia Plummer, knit in Kelborn Wool and Scout, Graphite Heather, and the color work is Knit Picks Palette and Sweet Sparrow yarns. I love it. It's great for fall and winter. Ta-da!
My name is Maddie, or Crafty Stitch Witch on Ravelry. My Rhinebeck sweater is the Ladyfinger sweater by More Thunder. I used the Madeline Tosh Lamplighter fade for it, and it is my first completed colorwork sweater, and I'm very proud of it.
My name is Ellie, and you can find me at Ellie Knits on Ravelry. My Rhinebeck sweater is the Campsite Cardi by Alicia Plummer. It is my first cardi. I love it. It is knit with Malabrigo Arroyo. We are coming from Edmond, Oklahoma.
I'm Natasha, and I'm here with my mom.
Hi, I'm Petra.
And we're excited to tell you about our Rhinebeck sweaters. Mine is the Cumulus Blouse by Petite Knits, and I was excited because this is my first time using mohair, and it was extra special because it was mohair that we bought on our Arne and Carlos cruise that we took in March 2019.
My Rhinebeck sweater is the Rocaine. It's a pattern that was published in Pom Pom magazine a couple of years ago, I think. and I used Biscotti DK Pure Wool yarn in grey. The yarn is pretty variegated, so I used the helical technique to merge the skeins nicely, and I added my signature button. These are wooden buttons that are made by my mom and dad.
And what we're really thrilled to tell you is we started a YouTube channel called Knit Inc, and we are knit_inc on Instagram to learn all things that we're knitting on and hand lettering.
My Rhinebeck sweater is my first sweater, and it's a pattern by Heidi Kermeyer, and it's called the Sunshine Coast, and I used 10 shades of pineapple yarn from Marina at Pineapple Yarns. My mom and I did them together, and we're learning to knit. My Instagram is 123 and holding.
My sweater is also by Heidi Kermeyer, and it's pineapple yarn, and it's the Sunshine Coast pattern, and it's my first knit also.
This is the Swallowtail Sweater by Jamie Hoffman, knit out of Suburban Stitcher yarn in the colorways River's Edge, Navy, Sea Smoke, and Tuva. It's on fingering weight, and I finished it last night. You can find me on Instagram as butterflyem4.
My Rhinebeck sweater, I'm wearing it right now. Actually, I have several Rhinebeck items. So let's start with the smallest, which is my bracelet. It's Fetish by Laura Nelkin, and she sent me the kit, so I'm not sure where the yarn came from, but it was my first time knitting with beads, and I loved it so much. I'm also wearing the Underwing mitts, which were actually inspired by other people's versions of the Underwing mitts that I've seen on Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater. These mitts are by Erica Heuser, and I used Jillian Kittles and Garn Stories yarn with a little bit of murky depths there on the wing. Love these so much. My shawl is the Chrysalis Kounty shawl, which was the shawl that was part of our Flutter and Fly shawl along this year with Stephanie of Asylum Fibers, who's the dyer, and Michelle of 144 Stitches, who is the designer of the shawl. My colorway is Monarch, and that inspired this whole look, which is what I'm wearing right now. This is the Lila or the Lila by Terry Bostick Hogue, and I modified it a little bit to be shorter, and I added a butterfly to it with some double stitching. This yarn is from Wing and a Prayer Farm. It is her Shetland. It is so much fun to work with. I love knowing the farmer. I love knowing the sheep and knitting with that yarn. And the double stitching on top is by DMC Needlepoint Threads. You can follow me on Instagram at kristyglass knits.
I'm Tammy White, and I'm at Wing and a Prayer Farm. It's all one word on Instagram, at Wing and a Prayer Farm. I'm wearing Foxy by Mary Jane Mucklestone, and it's from her latest book, Fair Isle Weekends, coming out November 6th, available for pre-orders now. Sunny is one of the goats that we raise for mohair. He's an Angora goat, and the reason why I'm out here in this beautiful Rhinebeck sweater with him is because it's his mohair that's in my yarn. I naturally dye all of the yarn that we make, and this one's called Thelma and Louise, and Thelma and Louise are his grandmas. My friend Carrie Turner Lang in Thailand knit this sweater out of our yarn to send to me to wear for Rhinebeck. Happy Rhinebeck, everybody!
Hey, can you tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater this year?
Sweater? How about wardrobe? This is the Shifty by Andrea Mowry. I did it in Spin Cycle, Dream State, and the Cascade Superwash Wave Effects. Hayuki by Eri Shimizu, and it's done in Lisa Dashinger's This Is Our Monkey.
Beautiful.
This is Little Oysters by Hinterm Stein, done in Tammy's Wing and a Prayer Farm, Thelma and Louise. Tammy specially dyed this for me. The Pasture Pullover by Pearl Soho, done in the Pearl Soho Flaxdown. Shetland Stowaway by Rose Beck, and I did this in Tammy's Wing and a Prayer Farm, All the Single Ladies.
All right.
I knit this for Rhinebeck. It's the Fogline Pullover by Brienne Moody, and it's in Jill Draper's Rockwell and in the Spin Cycle Yarns Dream State.
So
and those are my Rhinebeck sweaters.
Great.
On Instagram, I'm at Les Knits.
I'm so excited to finally be on one of Kristyglass's Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater videos. Here we are in 2020, and I'm so excited. I hope you're all well. So my Rhinebeck sweater for 2020 is... Now, I know what you're thinking. It is an unusual colour for me, but I'm very excited about it all the same. So this is the Tsubaki Pullover. It's a pattern by Hiroko Fukatsu. It's beautifully, I mean, you can see all the gorgeous cables and the texture, and this yarn that I bought at Rhinebeck last year is, of course, Jill Draper Make Stuff in her Mohonk, which is her Cormo base. It's a sport weight with a bit of a DK. You can see it's just beautiful and woolly, and it fits this pattern so perfectly. I am so pleased with how it's coming along. I'm super excited to wear it. Yeah, so I was all with the good intentions, and I was going to knit the sweater, and then, you know, 2020 happened, and that was a thing, and all in all, the good intentions, they did not quite pay off. And so for everybody else who is out there in the same boat as me, who is joyfully excited about the prospect of Rhinebeck sweaters as ever, and just didn't quite make it this year, I promise I feel you, I am with you, and you know, it's fine. 2020 has kicked us all royally up the, you know, and I just hope you're doing as well as you can. My name is Caroline. You can find me as Dundernit pretty much everywhere, and I look forward to speaking with you all soon. Bye.
Okay, Amanda, tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater.
This year I am wearing Theoni by Tori Gerbitz. It is a cardigan, and the yarn that I'm using was custom dyed at the Neighborhood Fiber Co. Christmas party by them in 2017. And you can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and Facebook at Brown Girl Knits, girl with a Y.
Hi everybody! So sad we can't be together at Rhinebeck this year. This is Amy Small. I am the owner of Knit Collage, where we make all these crazy hand spun yarns. And this year for my Rhinebeck sweater, I decided to do two. I am wearing this Dreamland Cardigan, which is knit in our Dreamland. Has all this stuff spun into it. Super fun, and this is coming out soon. And then underneath is my original Kaleidoscope sweater. So I think I've knit 7 of these, and it is just the best pattern for our yarns, because you start at the top and you just knit, and you get to play with color and texture and yarn, and it's just a blast. So this is part of our fall 2020 knit along, starting very soon. So that's my Rhinebeck gear. Bye!
It's Tracy Hennick, and I want to tell you about my Rhinebeck sweater for 2020. So this is the Exhale sweater from Knit Collage. I was lucky enough to test knit it. It was in contention for the fall knit along. It didn't make it, but keep an eye out for the pattern, because it's awesome. My favorite sweater that I've knit in a while. It is Spun Cloud in Stormy Weather, which is one of their new colors for fall, and the wildflower is Rose Ochre. So that's my Rhinebeck sweater. You can catch me at Tracy Hennick on Instagram, and on Ravelry, I'm Tracy Knits 5.
My Rhinebeck sweater is the Pixelated Cardigan from Knit Collage. I knit it with Spun Cloud and wildflower yarns. For me, this is kind of a crop shape, not for other people I know. 3/4 length sleeves. It's just the perfect one to throw on over a pair, t-shirt and a pair of jeans. I am D. Exton on Ravelry and Exton Debbie on Instagram.
I'm Kate from Massachusetts. You can find me on Ravelry and on Instagram at K8NIN. I knit the Kaleidoscope Cardigan from Knit Collage. It's designed by Laurel Gervitz. I've used a Spun Cloud main color in the colorway High Vibes, which is a beautiful blurg. And there's all sorts of Knit Collage yarn in here. It's also with a lilac mini skein. You can see the cute flowers, and there's some shiny flowers up here. This was part of the knit along, and I didn't so much stripe my yarn as I did felt it all together. I had little armies of yarn pieces lined out in a particular order, and then I just started doing whatever I wanted to.
My Rhinebeck sweater this year is the Plaid Party Cardi. That is part of the Knit Collage Fall Knit Along, and it's designed by myself. It uses Spun Cloud and the Minty colorway, which is a new colorway this year, along with the mini skein sampler kit and the colorway Pop Tart. These are way out of my comfort zone. I usually go for navy blue, but I really like it, and I added on these iridescent laser cut Katrinkles buttons
And you can follow me or find me on Ravelry and Instagram at Vitzknits, VITZKNITZ.
It's Vanessa, aka Vinray Knits. Here is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's called the Plaid Party Cardi, and it's by Knit Collage. It's our fall 2020 knit-along style, and the pattern is by Royal Gerbits. So it's made from Spun Cloud and mini squeeze sampler kits, and I was lucky enough to test the size 6. I have a 48-inch bust, but it comes in 10 sizes, which makes my heart sing. I miss you guys, and bye.
This is my gumdrop sweater. I knit and designed it using Knit Collage's new Serenity yarn. It's a fun boucle yarn, and a little goes a long way. I actually knit this whole sweater with just 1.5 skeins of the Serenity, and then it's accented with their fun fabric yarn called Wildflower. This is not actually a mistake. In true Rhinebeck fashion, not quite finished. I am going to be offering a long sleeve version for this as well. So this will be taken out and I'll make a long sleeve version as well. And I'm really excited because Amy has accepted this design to be part of Knit Collage's Spring 2021 Knit-Along. I'm super thrilled about that, and perhaps you'll see me in the long sleeve version at the next Rhinebeck.
My Rhinebeck sweater is inspired by these two sweaters, this one here and this one. I created my own design. I also looked to Knit Collage's Kaleidoscope, which I made my own version of it here. Most of this yarn is Malabrigo's Rasta, which is a super bulky yarn. And I loved the baubles in that photograph. Just do the baubles around the yoke and then around the cuffs. Aren't those super groovy? Look at those baubles. I did the sleeves, a little bit of a bell sleeve, and I put in some fabric yarns, big baubles, raglan sleeves, and that is my Rhinebeck sweater.
The sweater that I'm wearing today is designed by Larkbagger. Larkbagger is really cool because she wears bum bags, is all I'm saying. You guys call bum bags fanny packs, which is slightly disturbing, but okay, whatever. This is her Alone Together sweater. She released it at the beginning of the pandemic, and it uses scraps of yarn or skeins of yarn that you have already in your home. And so what I decided to go with for this was I had this big stash of alpaca yarn in natural and grey, and so that's why you get that mottled effect. Come a bit closer, see that? And then these scraps of yarn are from different sweaters and projects. This one here is Knit Collage, which is super cool. And I just love this sweater. So I used 4 strands of yarn, 2 baby alpacas, which was the grey and the white. And then I also used a blue silk and a minty green mohair from Cake.
You want some? Cake, 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 cake.
I just love it, and I really love the color, and it's really cool, and I've worn it a lot.
My name is Jennifer Tanchi, and I'm videoing this from Manila, Philippines, which is where I live now. And I was able to knit up the Saturn Jumper, which is beautiful, and it was knit up in 3 strands of acrylic yarn because I have to destash. It was a blast to knit up, and I just really enjoyed seeing every single color combination, and each one I was like, ooh, I'm gonna knit a sweater in that colors. Ooh, now this colors. Ooh, this reminds me of Christy. This reminds me of someone else. So it was really fun. My Instagram is Jennifer Tanchi, and my Ravelry is Constant Change.
Do you want to tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater? What are you working on?
The Kaleidoscope Sweater by Knit Collage in a single color that they're doing for their fall knit-along. But what I made for this year's Rhinebeck sweater was the Kinnikin Cardigan by Tara Lynn Morrison in Loopy Mango's Mohair So Soft, which is yarn that I bought last year at Rhinebeck. This is a shawl pin made by Malojos. What I loved about this sweater, it was top-down raglan, fits me really well, really fun, fast, easy knit on size 19 needles. And I'm Liz Perez Wilson at Liz Perez Wilson.
I'm Gina with Skank Cocaine, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater 2020. This is the Miss Arena Tee by Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks. The colorways are agate and tobacco for the color work. And the only modification that I made was I made it a little bit longer and I made the sleeves longer. But other than that, as written.
I'm Stephanie, and my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater is the Sides and Stripes by Vera Valimaki. I used the Skin Cocaine Hot Sock fingering in London Fog, and the neutral is Tea Time. I didn't do the side detail, but that was about it, and I love it.
Did I say Lux fingering?
I think so.
Okay.
Hey Mama, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
I'm wearing the Super Simple Summer Sweater by Joji Locatelli. And the yarn that I used is from Leo and Roxy, wonderful yarn dyers Jolynn and Carrie from St. Thomas, Ontario. And it's their organic wool and cotton. Now the pattern, just like it says, is super simple. It's wonderful yoke detailing, nice little split hem, and it fits great, or at least I think so. Then now on my scarf, why, it's the Chrysalis Kounty shawl in the knit version. Now, of course, you might have heard of this. It's the collaboration between yours truly, Kristyglass, Stephanie from Asylum Fibers, and Michelle Costa from 144 Stitches. Let's see, what colorway did I use? Why, I think it was Purple Hair Streak. Have a great weekend.
Excuse me, miss. Can you tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater?
I would love to. This year I knit Joji Locatelli's Super Simple Summer Sweater.
Great. Is this your first Rhinebeck sweater?
No, but it's the first time I knit a sweater at this gauge in worsted weight yarn. I absolutely love it.
Amazing. Now can you tell me a little bit more about that beautiful colorway?
Sure. This is Skein Cocaine's Grass and Swimming Pool. I love the colors, love the combo.
It looks gorgeous too.
Thank you.
Now would you recommend this pattern?
I would absolutely recommend this pattern. Joji Locatelli has excellent customer service. I got tripped up a few times, emailed, and they walked me through everything I needed to do to make it a success.
Sounds good. Now sources also tell us that you have a somewhat famous Rhinebeck sweater in your collection. Can you tell us more?
I do.
Wow, is this the famous Rhinebeck sweater you were telling us about?
Yes, it is. This is Kristyglass's original 2016. Tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
That's amazing. Can you tell us what it's called?
It's Brooklyn Tweed's Riptide, and I was lucky enough to get it in an eBay auction. All proceeds benefited women in need or win. $500 were raised, and I am thrilled to have it.
That's great. Can you tell us about your little buddy down there too?
This is my little friend Phoebe Jane, and we just want to tell you to have a great fall, and we hope to see you next year at Rhinebeck. I'm Courtney Chimay, C Chimay on Instagram, SCIME, and Hockey Mama Knits, MAMAKNITZ on Ravelry.
My name is Margaret. I am Margaret Sampler Lover on Instagram and MARG Sampler Lover on Ravelry. I did some preview knitting for Brooklyn Tweed this year. The collection came out on October 7th, and my particular sweater is called the Deliciosa, designed by Nora Gahn. Yeah, I really love it. It's made in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. The color is Button Jar, which is actually the color they used in the model too. So that's my Rhinebeck sweater.
Hi, I'm Allison, and this is Jill. We're here to tell you about our Rhinebeck sweaters. I'm wearing the Calligraphy Cardigan by Nora Gahn, and I knit this cardigan out of Harrisville Designs Nightshades in the stiletto colorway. This cardigan is originally a short sleeve, but I improvised a long sleeve so it's more appropriate for Rhinebeck.
And this is the Cozy Classic Raglan, designed by Jessie May, knitted by Allison, and also hand-dyed by Allison for colorwork yarn. I love the color, which is named Jill, and it's so soft and truly cozy.
You can find us on Instagram. I'm Colorwork Yarn.
And I'm Jill H. Lutz.
I'm Jamie Lewis, the hand dyer behind M1 Yarns. My Rhinebeck sweater this year was made using my yarn, in 2 bases, both in the colorway Night. The pattern I made was the Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie May Designs, and this was for a knit-along that I co-hosted with my podcast co-host, Danielle. Together we are M1 Yarns and the Michigan Makers podcast on YouTube, and we wanted a make-along for Rhinebeck 2020, and for that we chose a knit and a crochet pattern. And for the knit, we chose the Cozy Classic Raglan. I held 1 strand of mohair and silk with 1 strand of my Lean Mean Machine fingering weight base, which is an 80-20 base. You can kind of see the skeins here. As you can see, the yarn has kind of some soft gray flecks throughout, which I just love to give it a little bit of texture. You can find me at M1 Yarns on Facebook, Instagram, and m1yarns.com is my shop.
I'm Chandra, and my sweater is a Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie May Designs. I knit it using Dream and Color Smooshy with Cashmere, held together with Sugar Bush Drizzle Mohair Silk Blend. It's very fuzzy, extremely warm. The pattern was great, really well written. I love how the sweater turned out. I haven't blocked it yet. I'm sure it'll be even better then. My name on Ravelry is Chandra, C-H-A-N-D-R-A, and my name on Instagram is Chandra_knits.
My name's Kate, and my Rhinebeck sweater is the Diaphanous Raglan by Jessie May Designs, and I knit it using some Happy Hank yarns, which is pretty local to me. She's from Ballarat in Victoria in Australia, and I'm from Melbourne. I went to Rhinebeck once, quite a few years ago, and I hope to come back again, maybe in this outfit. You can find me on Instagram as Kate E. Price.
My name is Riley. My handle is Sit Still Knit Pretty on Instagram. For Rhinebeck this year, I was going to wear my Sheer sweater by Jessie May Designs. I'm 14, so I don't know if that really makes a difference, but anyway, that was my Rhinebeck submission. Bye!
It's Jan, and I wanted to tell you about my Rhinebeck sweater. So this is the Guanwin sweater by Verona Kors. And when I learned to knit, a few of the things that I really loved was cables and lace. So this has a lot of the elements that made me want to learn how to knit. So it's got the beautiful lace yoke, which is highlighted by twisted stitches, as well as a few cables thrown in to give the sweater a lot of movement. It's really beautiful. I love the rolled cuffs and hem, and it's finished at the neckline with a beautiful I-cord bind off. The other thing I love about this sweater is the color. The yarn is from Tara Mitchell of Mitchell's Creation. She's down in Louisiana, one of our indie dyers. And the colorway is Purple Veil. It's on the Say Bone DK base. You can find me on the interwebs. I'm Jan Clay on Ravelry or JanClay08 on Instagram.
Hi, I'm Colleen, Beanie TVQ on Ravelry and Instagram. I'm wearing my Rhinebeck sweater that is the Bowie by Lisa Richardson in Rowan Fine Lace.
I'm wearing the Lunenburg Pullover by Amy Christoffers, knit in Calborn Woolen Scout. It's designed as a fingering weight sweater, but I knit it in DK because it's faster. It's the first time I've done purling in colorwork, and I loved it. It was actually really fun to knit. I would knit it again in a heartbeat. And I am Jenny Moon Knits on Instagram and Ravelry.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater, or would-be Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Le Pouf cardigan, designed by Beta Jasic from Hedgehog Fibers. It's a marled sweater made with 2 yarns held together, and most of it is made out of hedgehog yarn, except for where the purple section is, which is made out of woolen boon. I fell in love with this sweater when I first saw the pattern for it, because it reminded me of the puff sleeves I wore many years ago when I was in college. It would be nice to get to wear this sweater to a group activity one day real soon. Marilyn, aka Mini Bagel Mom.
I'm Ellen, and most of you know me as Mimi. The pattern is from Corey at iRock Knits, and it's called Knitwords. I dyed the yarn myself with Wool of the Andes Sport, My two favorite words to make were make one, which of course spells Mimi, and I love this word too, sleeve. You can find me on Instagram at Mimi Loves to Knit and Ravelry at Mimi Loves to Knit too.
It's Lisa from Blessings in the Journey. This is the Autumn Amber Pullover by Tammy Gore. It was a test knit that I did for her. I just loved every minute of it. The main color is a single ply from Cozy Posy yarn and also the color work in the yoke. And it required 2 skeins of mohair, but I didn't have 2 of the same color. So I found 2 that were close enough and I alternated them. One was from Viola and the other was from Yoshi and Lucy Knits. And I'm Lisa from Blessings in the Journey.
My name is Erin Doss. I'm from Indiana. It's the Harry Potter Wizarding World Sweater by Tanis Gray. And I knit it out of Malabrigo Arroyo yarn, and I'm really excited with how it turned out. And I was also part of the Flutter and Fly cowl, and this is by Michelle Costa out of Asylum Fibers. And I had so much fun working on the shawl, and I'm excited to be part of that knit along. If you would like to find me online, I'm erumbly24. It's RUMBLEY 24 on Instagram and Ravelry.
My name is Jessica Steppe and I'm from Scottsville, Kentucky. This is Hermione's Time Turner Sweater by Diana Walla out of Harry Potter Knitting Magic by Tanis Gray. It has this very cool time turner motif that goes around the yoke. The yarn is Quince & Co. Bench, and it is pomegranate and Carrie's yellow. I love doing color work and I highly recommend this sweater.
Oh, hello! You may recognize my eyes from kristyglass's face because she's my sister. This is my Rhinebeck sweater this year. It was designed by Megan Reagan of Bad Wolf Girls Sits and Knits, and I made it using Knit Picks yarn.
My name is Esther. I'm Pretty Doozy on Instagram and Selena on Ravelry. And my sweater is Embrace the Octopus by Maya Cerns, knit in very luxurious merino Aran weight by Asylum Fibers in Earl Grey and March Hare colorways. It's inspired by Ravelry user Tula Loves Me, who I spotted at Rhinebeck last year wearing this sweater. Instantly knew I had to cast it on, needed to knit it. Then saw these 2 colors, knew this was the winner. It was a challenging knit, but super fun, and I recommend it. And here, I'll show you guys the back, which is the octopus face. So you can see it, there it is.
I'm Nikki Steckler. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's by Laura Bryant. The pattern is called Sonata, and I knit it using linen stitch. The pattern is a lovely way to blend hand-painted yarns with a base color, and so I came up with a rainbow out of my stash. And if you want more details, I am on Ravelry and Instagram. I'm Knitting Nikki, N-I-K-I.
It's Sarah here in Naples, Florida. I'm on Instagram as Kind Chicken. This is the Dark Water Sweater by Knit Love Wool, and it was created using the West Yorkshire Knits, the Croft yarn in Olaberry. And then the yoke is Yellow Brick Road from La Bien Aimée. My grandmother sadly passed away and I needed something to keep me busy and to channel my grief into. So I picked up knitting for the first time since I was about 10 and I fell madly deeply in love with it.
I'm Minnie Mobius and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. This sweater is called Ruskidro. It's by Amy Christophers and it's a free pattern from knitty.com. I knit it with some of my favorite yarns. It's Julie Asselin Lazy DK. And the midnight oil I got in my LYS Knitty City, and the contrast color is Skeiny Dipping Yarn Merino DK in Tin Selectivity. My crown I thought was really sparkly, and it went with the color work, and if you can't wear a crown at Rhinebeck, where will you wear a crown? And the crown, my sister made it for me, and she followed a tutorial from iMixtagram.
This is my 2020 virtual Rhinebeck sweater. The pattern is Cardi Zen, designed by Denise Byrie. The yarn is Morehouse Merino in the color Blueberry. With the extra yarn that I had left over, I was able to knit the hat using the Loopy Mango My First Hat pattern.
My name is Yudi Young. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Waves of Change jacket by Denise
Byron. It's the second sweater I've ever knit for myself that's a fitted proper sweater, so I'm super excited about it. I feel like I am now an official sweater knitter. I love that it's made by a BIPOC maker who's so awesome that I learned so much about on kristyglass. The little garter ridges are the waves of change. It's supposed to be a crop jacket, but I wanted it really warm, so I made it longer. The yarn is Pure Life by British Sheep Breeds Chunky Undyed by Rowan, and this is the Shetland Morit, and so it's like heritage breeds. So it's a really rustic yarn, and it's not a next to your skin yarn, but it's so warm. So I think this is going to be my winter jacket this year. Because of disabilities, I could never actually get to Rhinebeck. It is wonderful that I can participate virtually in this amazing video that I've watched for so many years, and it's accessible to me now with my disabilities. And I'm taking some Rhinebeck workshops, which I'm also super excited about. On Ravelry as Tiger Yudi, Tigeryuri.
Hello, my Rhinebeck sweater is Grace Pullover by Denise Bayron. I knitted it in Expression Fiber Arts bulky battery yarn in the color Ruby Stain. It's a wonderful pattern, very easy to follow, my favorite so far.
Hello, I'm Max.
And I'm Abby.
And we're the Not Your Average Knitting Podcast. Abby, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
This is my Grace Pullover by Denise Byron of Byron Handmade. And this is in Brooklyn Tweed Quarry in the color Fossil.
Yay!
This is my Trove Sweater by Emma Dutcher, and it is in Lichen and Lace Rustic Sport.
Ooh, look at that!
Hey Max, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
Sure, Abby. This is my Wave of Change jacket by Denise Byron. I absolutely love it. It's in Quarry from Brooklyn Tweed in the citron color, and I added some snaps to make it fun for flow and for warmth. My Ravelry is Max Stein, M-A-X-S-T-E-I-N, and my Instagram is Maxwell Stein without the A, M-X-W-E-L-L-S-T-E-I-N.
And my Instagram is aknit24, and my Ravelry is A-C-U-R-Z-O-N.
My name is Danielle. I'm coming to you from Detroit, Michigan. My Instagram handle is DanielleCrafts08, and I'm here to talk about my Rhinebeck sweater. I missed this video last year, and I'm in it this year, so I'm really excited about that. So I am wearing the Wave of Change jacket by Denise Baroom of Baroom Handmade, and I chose this because we are in such a major season of change in this country, and we are in a need of change, and I want to make sure that I send this message with this pattern. I used a stash yarn I had from Baruco, and it was a chunky, and so when she came out with this pattern, I was so happy that I was able to jump right in and join the knit along.
My name is Denise Byron. I'm the designer behind Byron Handmade. This year, my Rhinebeck sweater is the Wave of Change jacket. I designed and published this jacket in February of 2020, and it's particularly meaningful to me because I designed it as a size-inclusive and gender-free pattern. It was my intention and my hope that knitters could follow the directions and make modifications to the pattern to fit their particular needs and their body. After several months of being available on the market, I have seen hundreds of these jackets knit all over the world, and I received notes from people who have said that it means the same to them, that they feel seen, they feel included because they were able to make a garment that fits their body and their preferences. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this, Christy. Bye!
Yeah, this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It is Arachne by Andy Sutherland of Untangling Knots, and I made it with knit picks, hawthorn and blackbird, but I also used, to make the spider web, I used fiber optics and flash, and I actually bought that yarn at Rhinebeck 2019, which was my very first time going, which is where I saw this pattern for the first time, which gave me the idea to make it.
I'm Paula Cunningham. This is my Big Love sweater designed by Anka Strick. It's knit with Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, worsted weight held together with drops kid silk mohair. It's knit from the top down with a good bit of positive ease. What makes it special for me is that my daughter Gail taught me how to dye the wool with indigo to get this pretty denim color. You can find my daughter Gail, who's a fibers artist, an indie dyer, quilter, a weaver, on Ravelry and Instagram at Hudson Highlands. And you can find me on Ravelry at Paula325.
Tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater. My Rhinebeck sweater is Behind My Back. It's by Justina Lorkowski. My yarn is Knit Picks Twill. It's in Black Cherry Heather. The front is a basic stockinette, and the back is where all the fun is. It's got a very nice lace pattern, and I made matching socks. And you can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Etsy at Roz Knits with Z's.
I'm Katie. I decided to make this as my Rhinebeck sweater after I found 19 matching skeins of Brooklyn tweed shelter at my local Goodwill in my favorite color, green. I went on Ravelry to find something big and bold that would take advantage of that much yarn, and I found this design, which is a row by Michelle Wong. It's all about the cables, and there's an especially fabulous one on the back. I also love the tubular cast on and the professional finish it provides, and this big snuggly collar. I did the math and there are 23,000 stitches in this collar. I'm also an avid sock knitter, and I wore this pair especially for you. I'm KBA on Ravelry.
My name is Erin, and my sweater for Rhinebeck this year is the Rowe Cardigan by Michelle Wong, R-O-W-E. This is a beautiful, heavily cabled cardigan. I'm going to turn around real quick and show you what the back looks like. So it's got a ton of cables going everywhere. This is a pieced garment, which means that the two fronts, the back, and the two sleeves are all knit flat, and then you seam them together and set in the sleeves. I used rustic, non-superwash, undyed wool for my sweater. I love how squishy and warm it is. I knit this as part of the year-long knit-along for the shop Dances with Wool in Midlothian, Virginia, where I work. You can follow me on Instagram at erin.lowry, L-O-W-E-R-Y. You can follow the shop where I work at Dances with Wool RVA.
My Rhinebeck sweater this year is Affinity, my newest video sweater class, and in true Rhinebeck fashion, I finished sewing the buttons on to the cardigan version this morning. So Affinity comes in a pullover or a cardigan, and you can make it without waist shaping or with waist shaping. It features a short row shawl collar, tons of cables. We have a little saddle shoulder, cables everywhere, and my favorite thing, these little hidden pockets. Pockets! So I hope you can join me. It's going to go on sale the end of this week, the end of Rhinebeck, and we're going to cast on sometime in November. There's going to be tons of videos. You're going to have a ton of fun. You can find out everything at pattylyons.com.
I'm Kevin from Boston, Massachusetts. Instagram, I'm Chemistry and Crochet. And this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the For Fox's Sake sweater by Max the Knitter. And the yarn is from Sawkill Farm, which I bought last year at Rhinebeck. This was my first colorwork yoke sweater. So it's just a circular yoke with fun little foxes with glasses.
And my name is Andrew. This is the Once in Floral pattern by Max Sincere, or Max the Knitter on Instagram. The yarn I bought at Stitches West earlier this year, on my 30th birthday actually. I bought it from Shop La Mercerie. I believe the colors are blue turquoise, medium tan, and then just like straight up pink. You can look me up on Instagram or Ravelry at Andrew1half, that's all one word, Andrew O-N-E-H-A-L-F. Or I sometimes do a little podcasting just kind of for fun, nothing serious, every once in a while on YouTube. So if you want to see those episodes, you can find me there at So Sewn Knits, or you can just look at my name too. I'm also from Sacramento, California, and it's 95 degrees and it's October 5th and I'm wearing shorts and I'm going to take the sweater off. Okay, thanks. Bye.
My name is Tamar. I'm coming to you from sunny Tel Aviv, Israel. So this is the Eaves Cardigan. It's by designer Kate Oates. I knit mine out of Biche et Bouche Le Petite lambswool yarn, which is the yarn that she recommends in the pattern. This cardigan features a really beautiful colorwork yoke all across the top, front and back, and I picked the colors to sort of correspond with the beautiful upstate New York fall foliage that I was so excited to see, because we really don't have anything like that here. There's also really pretty cabled hemming to go on the cardigan. And this was my first ever steek, and not only was it my first ever steek, it was my 3 first steeks, because you cut into the front of the pattern to make it into a cardigan, and you also cut into the top here to create the armhole. So it's really fun, and you know, by the 3rd steek you're like a total pro. Now you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Tamar Knits. So on Instagram that's TAMAR.knits. On Ravelry it's just all in one word.
This is Ela Jarvis, and I am in very overcast Berkeley, California, and I am wearing my almanac sweater, which I steeked. Here's my ribbon. See? Matched perfectly. I am an earth tone person. This is Cedar House Yarns in Old Growth Worsted, and the color is ginger. I bought all of the yarn at Black Squirrel, which is my local yarn shop owned by Chase Clark, and they're still open online, and they're a fabulous store, and they also dye their own yarn. So they are, I believe, the only yarn shop in Berkeley, California. It's my information. You can check out all the classes that I'm doing and all of my projects.
My very first Rhinebeck sweater is the Amaruk sweater from Anna Sophia Wintersol. Anna Sophia is known as Loperefer on Instagram and Ravelry, and I was actually one of her test knitters for this recently published pattern. With her permission, I was able to change the sweater pattern into a cardigan, so I steeked that sweater 3 times. I steeked both of the armholes and the front panel, and yeah, I have to say I really like it. This is not like traditional Icelandic sweaters knit in a round, so the body and the sleeves are knit in rounds and joined on the yoke, but this one comes with satin sleeves, and I have to say I really like the end result. So it has a really nice color work in the front and the back, so the back is exactly the same. And for the wool I used an Icelandic Lettlopi. This wool I bought when I was still living in Iceland, so last year I moved from Iceland to England, and before leaving Iceland we toured the island and we bought that wool, and I have to say I absolutely love it. So this is something I love to work with, and I can only recommend if you have never tried that. If you want to find me on Instagram, Ravelry or YouTube, you can find me under my handle Frida Sheep.
My Rhinebeck sweater is Bracken Sweater by Annie Rowden in Woolfolk Flat Bulky in color FB04. This is color FB04. And Malabrigo Rios in Jupiter. And those are the cups right here. Yeah, that's right there. Beanie is Armine by Sarah Nordland, and a verb for keeping warm, rains. And that's my Rhinebeck fit. I hope you like it.
My Rhinebeck sweater is the Millie by Nice and Knit, and I did it in the collaboration yarn from Stephanie from Asylum Fibers and Lewis from Brooklyn Boy Knits. It's their Brooklyn Brownstone color, which I adore. I can't wait to get in front of a brownstone. And my earrings are designed by Yasmen. So super excited to tell you about my Rhinebeck sweater.
This is a Millie by Nice and Knit. It was supposed to be done in fingering weight, but I did it in Lullaby worsted weight in Thunder and Lightning that I got in Vogue New York 2020 before the world started ending. It was my first sweater that was knit with a whole lot of help. You can also find me on Instagram at Clear, CLEERSA.
I'm Kathy Dirosh, or K Dirosh on Instagram and Ravelry. I wanted to make a pink cardigan ever since I saw the I Heart cardigan that Christy made. And during lockdown, it just seemed like the perfect time to make it. Although the yarn store was closed, so I had to wait until they opened. In the meantime, I found the pattern from Luby Mango, and the yarn store doesn't carry loopy mango, and I wanted to support the local yarn shop. So I got the Barocco cocoa yarn from my local yarn shop, and it's very cozy. I just love it.
This is Tree Fan by Goodnight Day, Carolyn Morrison. It's the second sweater that I've knit by her. It's super awesome because they're chunky and bulky, and they knit up really fast. There's no sleeve island, it's sleeve evening. I love that. What I like about this sweater is the sleeves. Oh my god, get me die. Puffy sleeves, who doesn't need a puffy sleeve? No ribbing on this sweater is also awesome. I knit the sweater in commercial wool, so it was totally affordable. I bought it with curbside pickup during the lockdown, and the whole sweater cost me $19 Canadian, so it's like $10 American, so making it also very cool. This is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits. It is my first lace yoked sweater, first time I've knit with mohair. I wanted to knit it because everybody was knitting it, and they said it was so super easy, it flew off the needles. Not for me. Super proud of myself, it's totally comfortable. I love it. I knit it with Hedgehog Fibers, Oracle, and Rowan Kid Silk mohair. I am Nikimoto on Ravelry, Team Nikimoto on Instagram. I'm Nicole, coming to you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
My name is Rocio Campbell. My Ravelry handle is Rocio Campbell, and I am wearing the Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits. And the yarn that I used is actually a combination of Chelsea yarns, DK Weight, Peony, and the yarn that I held it with was the Kumo in Peanut Butter and Jelly by my all-time favorite La Bien-Aimée in France, who I love so much.
And I'm Margaret Wasik, and my Ravelry handle is Elegance Piano, and I am also wearing the Love Note sweater inspired by Rocio, and my colors are Blue Royale, again by La Bien-Aimée. This is the Fingering Weight and also the Kumo. And Rocio and I met last year, a year ago, anniversary, our 1 year friendiversary on a Stephen West, what was that, teaching class we took. And I was inspired by Rocio's knitting to up my game. When I saw how perfect her lace work was, I frogged my entire sweater and restarted. So just, I love how knitting brings us higher.
Margaret's made some really amazing modifications to the sweater, whereas I didn't change anything. I did exactly what the pattern called for, and so it's a little, roomy and a little boxy, which I like. And Margaret's looks fabulous because she really made it so fitted, and she had to go way outside the box. Bravo, I think.
Well,
bravo.
Thank you. I was trying to go for a more vintage look, and so did my own kind of style decreases, but I put everything down on a PDF on my Ravelry page in case anybody wants to make similar modifications.
I'm Carol Moriello. This is my flax sweater from Tin Can Knits. I used Landscape from James Brett in England. I used 4 skeins to make it. This is actually a really easy sweater for a beginner, which is me in sweaters. I didn't finish it, and I did change the sleeves because I left them big because I didn't want a tight wrist. And these are my hand spun yarns. It's Ocus Farm fiber, but I'm Seymour 811 on Instagram.
This is my flax sweater, and I knitted this over 10 months. It's Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, worsted weight, in the colorway Winter Night, and the designer is Tin Can Knits. The hat is a his and hers hat, and the designer is Shell Grissom, and the yarn is Red Heart Super Saver in the colorway Mexicana. I made this in 3 hours in 2010.
My name is Kirsty and I live in Hong Kong. This year I chose to knit the Tensile Pullover by Emily Green, and the yarn I used for it is by a British indie dyer called River Knits, and it's in their BFL 4-ply superwash base, and the colorway is Silbermond, which is a nice light tonal grey, which I really love, and I love their BFL base so much.
I really enjoyed the pattern. It's knit in pieces and then seamed, and I chose to leave off the turtleneck fold over collar that Emily put in her pattern, because in Hong Kong it's like 15 degrees Celsius at best in the winter, so it's not very cold. Without the collar, the turtleneck collar, it looks a little bit more like a top and less like a sweater, so hopefully I can get a little bit more wear out of it. I can be found on Ravelry and on Instagram as Kirstlee Knits, KIRSTLEEKNITS.
I just wanted to tell you about my Rhinebeck sweater. This is the Tectonic by Emily Green, and I knit it in Elder by Ritual Dyes in color Smoke. Is anybody sick of hearing me talk about it? It's all I post on my Instagram. You can follow us at the Observatory Shop.
It's made from Nancy Rusi's pattern called the Lazy Sunday State of Mind Sweater. And it's the unofficial pattern of the Observatory Shop. Yes, she was here, and it is unofficial, but we can get one for you if you stop by. The name of the yarn company is Malabringo Mecha. The color is Anniversario. You can choose any color you like, but this is my favorite color. Thank you.
I'm Melissa McGill. On Instagram, I am Cadence's Closet Co. On Ravelry, I believe it's Melissa McGill. I love all things vintage, Audrey Hepburn, 40s, 50s, all that. So I wanted a dress that kind of embraced that style. What I did was I took two different patterns and I kind of fused them together. So my top is My Boy Lollipop by Nicole Richie of Getting Curly With It. And then I coupled it with this skirt, which is A Little Flare by Violet LeBeau. And at the very bottom, I added a crochet lace pattern from Expression Fiber Arts from her Cirrus tank. Just thought it would be a nice little addition to the bottom of the skirt. And then I seamed these two, so these are knitted. I seamed them together and just added a little belt with it. The dress I used Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. This is in aqua, beautiful color. I transitioned up to my boho earrings, beautiful pattern by Pontneuf Studios on Instagram. I have this beautiful headband by Knititude, and the pattern is called Pin Me Up. Beautiful garter stitch headband, very vintagey. I just loved making it. I whipped it up last night just to go with my outfits.
My name is Kim, and I'm wearing a crossback by Knititude. You can find Knititude on Instagram or Ravelry. Her name is Chantel, and I'm wearing a denim Chinette Lion Brand yarn. It's reversible. I can cross it in the back or in the front. You can find me on Instagram at Little Knitted Love, Instagram and Ravelry.
My name is Patty. I'm in Santa Monica, California, and my sweater is Plantango from my dear friend Paula Pereira from Madeline Tosh. I use for the main body Manos del Uruguay, Alegría in the natural color, and for this little detail in mohair, I use retail dyes in the my sold called skein colorway. It's a great pattern if you have just a little bit of mohair from leftover from another project I use from my Rhinebeck. This pattern is what Paula calls her petite boxy style. It really fits me well. I really like it. I use only 2 skeins of the Manos del Uruguay Alegría, all that I had, so that's why I have the 3/4 sleeves, and it's perfect for the weather here.
This is my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater. It is the Dandelion sweater pattern by Paula Pereira. It is made out of hand-dyed yarn by Creo, which is a Chicago local dyer owned by Kirsten Oldak, and the colorway is rose gold.
I'm Anna Devine. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at Anna P. Dev. I am wearing the Willard Pullover by Hannah Fettig. It's in the Knitbot Yoked book, and it's knit with the Quinton Co. Owl yarn. I had this book for a while, and I've been wanting to knit it, and finally this was the year.
This is my Rocky Coast cardigan by Hannah Fettig. I knit it out of Imperial Stock Ranch woolen spun yarn that I got off of kristyglass Knits D-Stash. I knit it for Rhinebeck 2019, and then I couldn't go. So I'm super happy to be on this year's Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater. I have a jewel closure here, which you can remove and reposition. I knit it extra long with extra wide ribbing. I'm Nelsbell77 on Ravelry.
My name is Shamika, aka Shamika Knits on Ravelry and Mika Mika Shop on Instagram. The name of the pattern is Pure Fuzz. The designer is Ellie, aka Scavenger Knits. Now, this pattern was a test knit, so at this current moment, it hasn't been released yet, but by the time you see this video, it should be out there in the wild, if you know what I mean. This pattern is meant for mohair yarn held with fingering. However, it knits at a chunky gauge. So guess who had a sweater quantity of chunky yarn laying around? I used Modadia Cachet that I bought in 2007. Subsequently, that was around the time of my first Rhinebeck experience, and I was way too scared to really jump into knitting sweaters back then. If you take a closer look at the yarn, it is a thick and thin yarn. There are 3 plies. It is pink, orange, and a little glitter because you always have to shine. Why not? This reminds me of a sock gusset, but it's not. It's just the shaping that she's introducing in this pattern. The neckline lays very nicely. And it's roomy, it's cozy, it's fun, and I am just in love with it. Bonus, you gotta have the kicks to go with your sweater. I may not be walking around Rhinebeck this year, but at least I'll be comfortable walking somewhere.
Hey pals, I'm Paige Miller, and this is my Rhinebeck 2020 sweater. It's the Ultra, and it is designed by Scavenger Knits, and I made it out of Navia Duo, which is a Faroese yarn. And it's scrumptious. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube as Paige the Flamer.
Hey Christy, it's Claire. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Botanical Yoke Pullover in Bare Naked Wools, Breakfast Blend DK, and Cream and Sugar. And it's a knitting project. You can find me on Ravelry at Claire82013 and on Instagram at CEDKnits.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater. The pattern is Moyen Age by the designer Hanna Maciejewska, and I chose this pattern because most of my sweaters tend to have a lot of positive ease, and this time I wanted to try something different. I wanted a little va-va-voom, because why not? The yarn I chose is a Color Mart Cashmere 7525 Merino Angora, super soft. It started out as like a beige fawn color, and I played around in the dye pot till I got this cranberry Cabernet wine color, which I really like. I think it's really autumnal. I love the center cable on this pattern. I love the neckline. It's so graceful. I think this pattern looks good on every Raveler who's made it, so I was like, I'm in. You can find me on Ravelry as Lingua Franca, and next year at Rhinebeck.
It's Kelly coming to you from Annapolis, Maryland's beautiful capital city. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It is a brand new pattern called Onwin by Susanna IC. And it's my very first test knit. I was so excited when I met Susanna at my local yarn shop, and we got to talking, and she started talking about test knitters, and I said, I'll do that for you. And son of a gun, she said yes, and I was very happy to work with her. I knit it in Cloudborne Fibers, 100% Scottish Highland wool. It's a bulky naturals, and the colorway is Night Skies, and I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Hi, I'm Karen Morgan, and this is my mom Cheryl, and these are our Rhinebeck sweaters. The first one I made is this one for my mom. This was her Christmas present last year, and this is made out of Shetland wool entirely from our farm that I spun, and this is the Granny Smith cardigan. If you look really close, I actually spun in a little bit of copper Angelina shimmer, so it does have a little bit of a shine, and she has got buttons from Dimensions. We bought those at SAF, Southeastern Animal Fiber Fair, last year. This is the chamomile tunic, and these are some of our sheep. You can find me on Instagram at Caney May. You can also take a look at my Etsy shop where I sell some of our wool and some yarns hand spun at Caney May. And we also participate in Shave 'em to Save 'em. So if you're working on your passport, let us know and we can get you 2 breeds.
I'm Beth, and my Rhinebeck sweater is the Everyday Marl Sweater by Mina Phillip, the knitting expat. I used 10 different skeins of yarn, all from Fresh from the Cauldron, and they are on the Shudik sock base, and they are all supernatural themed. this being the last season of Supernatural, I decided to pay homage to them. And this is the sweater called Carry Yarn My Wayward Son. That's what I'm calling it. And my Rhinebeck sweater is Ursina by Jacqueline Cieslak. The Ursina is a new sweater pattern that just came out, and it is the lighter weight version of her famous Ursa sweater. I have done this in sport weight using Magpie Fibers Nest Sport, which is also a brand new base. The color is called Twilight Dark, and it's a very, very dark teal to navy color. I was one of the test knitters for this pattern, which is why I have it finished so early for Rhinebeck. And I really, really enjoyed knitting this sweater. Everybody should knit one. I am MD Quilter on Ravelry and Instagram, and I have a podcast on YouTube called MD Quilter Knits.
Hey Keisha, tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater.
Hi, my sweater is the Ursa sweater by Jacqueline Cieslak. It's made from Godiva Pure de Merino, and it is actually my first sweater with sleeves, really my first sweater ever. So it's also my first Rhinebeck sweater.
Oh, it looks fabulous.
So it's knit with chunky yarn, and it made up pretty quickly, so I was very excited. And I am 3 strands for love on Instagram.
Tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater.
So my Rhinebeck sweater is the Stranded Yoke by Melissa Liebman. The yarn is Toad Hollow DK. It's their Kiss the Girl, and then the blue is Prevent. This is my first big stranded sweater.
It looks awesome.
I'm crafting in my cave on Insta and in Ravelry.
Tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater.
Awesome. So this is the Lawrenson sweater by Lily Kate France. I did it up in Crayons Movers and Makers in my Opix. So this really awesome sort of teal blue. And it's a great sweater, like lots of structural stuff going on, but it only took me about a week. Got the puffy sleeves, which I love. They're really traditional. I did the crop waist shaping, so it's a little more fitted. So it comes in 2 versions. There's a cropped and a regular. And it's got great like details on the side with the ribbing all the way up. So just a really fun, quick knit that looks a lot harder than it really is.
This is the Acre Sweater. It's in Pom Pom 31. I think it's by Jennifer brand. The yarn is all from Stash. It's Mrs. Crosby Loves to Play, Noro, and Neighborhood Fiber Company. It's my first crocheted big garment. And I blame kristyglass for conning me into doing this for Crochet in May. I had to redo the front 3 times. I frogged it 3 times, so this is the 4th time I've done it. The sleeve I've done twice, so I think I've made 2 sweaters. And I think there's a heart on the blue side.
There is a heart.
But someone told me it looks like an elephant.
Can you tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater?
Well, I'm coming to you from, chilly Chicago, so I put on the coat. But let's talk about the sweater instead.
Yeah, tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater.
So this is the Myrtle Top by Teresa Trozeppo in Ripple yarn. And Ripple is a little tricky. It's like a ribbon, and it's got these slubs in it, so it's thin and thick. So even though it's a really simple design, it did give me some troubles because I had to get used to working the yarn right.
Yeah, and is that knit or crochet?
It is knit. And so being in kristyglass style, I had to pick out something fun to put on. So that is a delightful thing to be here at Nina in Chicago. I am at Kit Kat Pizzazz on Ravelry.
This one was my first planned Rhinebeck sweater. It's my first fade. It's the Sorrel by Woolen Pine. And the yarn is all Toad Hollow for the fade, and then a custom cake wool mohair.
You want some cake, 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 cake?
That I had asked Alyssa, can you do this, can you do that? And she custom dyed it for me. So I'm really psyched about it. And it was my first challenge to do a Rhinebeck sweater that was a fade. And then, after they came out with the Summer Sorrel, I was challenged by someone in my knitting group to do the Summer Sorrel. And this is Lorna's Laces.
Perfect. They're both fabulous. Thank you so much for coming out and showing us not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Rhinebeck sweaters. You're the winner.
Yay.
Thank you, Tina. And again, on Instagram, you are
Crafting in My Cave.
Hi from Down Under. I'm Karen, and this is my sorrel sweater by Wool and Pine. I made it using silky singles, which is 80% merino and 20% silk, and I held it double with a silk mohair blend. This was so much fun to knit. I got to do things I haven't done before because I'm only new back to knitting. So it was my first fade, and I got to try out helical knitting, and I got to have my first go at hand dyeing. So it was so much fun. So you can find me on Ravelry as Casuarina Girl. Casuarina because I live in a gorgeous beach suburb on the east coast of Australia called Casuarina. And Girl because I still think I'm 22.
My name's Aquila, and this is my Rhinebeck Sweater. I'm the host of a YouTube channel called A Lefty Knitter Podcast, and you can find me in all the links here, here, and here. I decided to make the Sorrel Sweater by Wool and Pine. I knew this was going to be my Rhinebeck Sweater because it has mohair. It was a little intimidating because I didn't know if I was going to actually like it. It's nice and warm. It calls for 4 colors in the fade. I only used 3. I knew I could get away with 3 because of the sizing that I used. I did a size 42, and I knew I was going to do short sleeves. The main colors are all from Knit Picks. You can see the transitions. You knit most of the sweater from down here inside out because it's all reverse stockinette. And this you knit the right side out. The mohair that I used is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. So just remember, you can use affordable box store yarn, Knit Picks yarn, and indie dyer yarn to make your sweaters. This is the Cat Bell sweater, and this is by Megan Nodecker. This sweater is special because the pattern was gifted to me by a good friend, and I've never knit a sweater that is done in all lacework. It is also a crop sweater, which is not my norm. It's made all from Lion Brand woolies. Again, affordable yarn. Anybody can make these sweaters, even on a budget.
I'm Liz and I'm from the UK. I've knitted a tank top, and it's based on a vintage pattern that used to belong to my nan. It's a flat knitted pattern, but I wanted to knit in the round, so I had an attempt for my very first time at steeking, and I know I watched it last year with everybody cutting their steeks, which was great. A little bit scary, but it was really good, really well. The yarn I've used is Malabrigo sock yarn, and this is Wales Road, the main colour. The edging has got the Malabrigo sock yarn in reflecting pull. I've also brought along my design of a heart scarf, reversible heart scarf, and this is again Malabrigo Rios, and it's got Wales Road and also Purple Mystery striped at the back, and then on the front it's got my heart design, which is Sublime by Serdar, and it's a mustardy yellow. If you want to find me on Instagram, I'm on Myrtle Knits, and it'd be great to see you. I'm on Ravelry, Myrtle Knit a Bit. Cheerio!
I'm Devin Guthrie, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater for 2020. I got this yarn at Rhinebeck last year. It is from a farm in Vermont called Will-U, W-I-L-L-E-W-E. It is 90% Cormo, and the label just said 10% black wool. And so it has this really nice heathered gray. And I use the Celeste pattern, spelled with an S, not a C, by Sari Nordlund. And I am so thrilled with it. I elected to keep the sleeves short, I don't know, I just felt like it. And you know, some years Rhinebeck is really hot and cold, so I don't know, it can transition well. And oh goodness, you can't quite see it, but it's not cropped, but it comes sort of, down to the hip. And I love it. This part was really fun, doing all the noops and the lace and stuff. So I hope you're all doing well, and I hope we all get to gather together again next year back at our beloved New York Sheep and Wool Festival.
Hi, my name is Amy, and my Rhinebeck sweater is the Ladies Autumn Whirlpool by Natalie Pellick. I knit this out of fingering weight yarn that I dyed myself, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It was my goal this year to knit a sweater with beading added to the yoke. I found this gorgeous design with all of this beautiful cable work within the yoke, and I thought it would be even more special to add beading to it. So as I was knitting it, I just added in beading wherever I thought it would look good, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I did crop the length of it quite a bit, and then I changed the sleeves by not adding any decreases in until I got to the cuff. But I'm so pleased with how this turned out, and I cannot wait to get a lot of wear out of it this upcoming winter season. You can find me online on Instagram and on YouTube at Noble Character Crafts.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Belle Cardi by Heidi and Anna Pickles in Wool and the Gang's Feelin' Good yarn in lipstick red. I decided to make this because I really love all of my knits to be statement pieces. It's kind of why I knit, because I want to make things that I can't find in stores, and I want to make things that are loud and bright. And I think this one fits the bill. Can you see it all? My name is Marika, and I am at the Darndest on Ravelry. I also have a podcast about knitting with my friend Coca, and we are called Knits All Right, and we also have an Instagram at Knits All Right.
My name is Jenny Johnson. My username on Ravelry is Isle of Pie, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's knit. It's the Margot sweater by Anna Dervoot, and it's in Garn Studio Drops Alpaca.
Hello?
It's Caitlin.
Oh my God, it's Caitlin. I'm actually outside taping for Kristyglass Knits. Tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
That's why I'm calling. I need you to tell me all the details of your gorgeous sweaters.
Okay, well what I did is I fell in love with the Letho cardigan by Moonstruck Knits. It was designed by Natasha Hornby, and I fell in love with this combination of Woolfolk Far and Kid Silk Haze. This is a sensational knit, and I highly suggest it.
I'm just flipping out because you've taken something that was sort of a rustic design and you elevated it with mohair and far.
It's amazing. It's so luxurious, and it's perfect for this time of year. I hope that I have inspired you to knit it.
You totally inspired me. I'm already ready to go with my yarn, and I think what I'm going to do, you know how Jackie always knits things so quickly? I'm going to start this before she even knows about it. I'm so excited to twin with you. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I did the turtle dove in Woolfolk Slacks. It's in a pattern by Spostrico, and you can find me on Instagram at WallSarahJ. And this is our local yarn shop, Cyberspace, in Alexandria, Virginia.
My Rhinebeck sweater is Missoni Accomplished by Spostrico. I used Valley yarns, and it's kind of oversized, as you can see, but I do love it. It's an awesome sweater. Can't wait to wear it in the wintertime because it's really hot. I live in Arizona, and it's going to be about 116 degrees here, so I won't be wearing this for a really long time. My name is Anna Conway, and you can find me on Ravelry as Gaff, Gaff.
This is my first Rhinebeck sweater, and I made the Mira Mesnel sweater by Helene Vincent. I made it out of two different fibers. One is 100% linen from Spostrico, their Petite Lin Plus in their Mount Royal Knights colorway. Then I held it together with the Farmer Daughter Fiber Odang base in their I've Got Dreams to Remember colorway. It's a top-down sweater, 3 different versions in this pattern, and I made the mid-length and fitted 3/4 length sleeves. Love the material that it made. It has beautiful short rows that makes the back come down, lovely drape. I was inspired to knit this from Jackie of Caddy Jack Knits, and then also Melissa from Spostrico.
Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Jackie.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's a beautiful day.
Hey, I'm glad you called because I just got off the phone with Dinah from the knitting place, and I have the best idea ever.
I'm glad you called too.
Well, so you know how we were talking about whether we were going to do Rhinebeck sweaters this year, and we went back and forth, and we finally decided we're not going to do Rhinebeck sweaters. There's just too much going on. Well, we need to do one. I just saw Dinah's Letho cardigan from Moonstruck Knits, and we absolutely have to knit it. And I already got a head start because you are so fast, and you always finish
That's great, Caitlin.
Wait a minute. What are you wearing? What? Did you talk to Dinah already? Am I the last to know? Oh my goodness.
But that's why I'm calling. Caitlin, I have a problem.
Yeah, what's the problem?
I'm never leaving my bedroom again.
And that's a problem for you?
I'm just gonna stay in my Letho.
Oh my goodness, let me see you. You look amazing.
It's so good, but it's so soft. But I just don't think I want to leave my bedroom.
Well,
maybe not till next Rhinebeck.
Maybe not, but okay, so you're finished. I thought I was going to get way ahead of this, so now I'm just, okay, a little sad.
Well, can I see yours?
Fine, I'll show you mine, but it's not finished.
Oh, go get it on. We want to see it.
Okay, but there better, no judgment.
No judgment. Okay. All right, I'll call you right back. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Hi, my name is Georgia, and this is my knitted Rhinebeck sweater. The pattern is Seascape Pullover by Andrea Yasmen, and it's made of a blue cotton from Big W, which is like a shop that sells a little bit of everything here in Australia. And the colour work section is made from Vera Colourful Minis. I made a few alterations to the pattern. I admitted the colour work sections, which was like a pattern, all the way through the jumper. I made it a little bit more cropped and added a bit of puff to the sleeve. It was originally going to be for my sister, but I decided I loved it so much I wanted to keep it for myself.
My name is Natalie Hildebrandt, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. I knitted out of La Bien-Aimée yarn that I got last year at Vogue Knitting Live New York. The pattern is Parsons Green by Catherine Volker. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but here's the pattern. The only change I made to the pattern was in the color work section. Catherine has a pretty sharp contrast in where the colors change, and I just chose to fade that in along kind of with the chevrons here. If you're interested, my Instagram handle is Knit with Nat, and my Ravelry name is the same, Knit with Nat.
You have it on.
I do have it on.
Look at you, you finished.
Well, it depends on how you define finished.
Oh, oops. That'll take you no time.
I know. I still have some stitch markers in too. But I love it. Yeah, I'm just gonna get back in bed too. What's a girl to do?
And then next year when we get to see Dinah again, we can all go dancing.
Perfect, perfect. Rhinebeck 2020. Check.
Check.
Check. Love you too. Okay, bye.
Hi everybody, I'm Debbie Korb from New York City in my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater, which is Junko Okamoto's Astrid. Color work and cables. I and the Caddy Jacks girls, my favorite knitting buddies, decided to do a Junko in June, and this is it. Even though it's now October and I'm almost finished, but not entirely. Anyway, I love you all. I miss you all, especially the falafel line. But hopefully I'll see you next year.
I'm Kim, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Tattered design by Caitlin. She goes by Plucky Pigeon Knits, and it's a colorwork top-down sweater with lace and cable sleeves. And it was my first time doing lace and cabling. Mistakes were made. I had to rip back a few times, but I'm happy with the way it turned out. It's knit out of ALB lino, which is 85% lamb's wool and 15% linen. It's a little bit rustic. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Kim Van Knits.
It's Taylor here to share with you my 2020 Rhinebeck sweaters. I made a few sweaters for 2020's Rhinebeck Festival as I was super excited for the weekend. And I started with Marie Wallen's Yell cardigan. I knit this using a lot of yarns from my stash and married together various brands of 2-ply woolen spun yarns. I also wanted to make a garment that I would wear beneath it, and I made a sweater somewhat of my own design. I used the Ducat sweater by Kate Davies as a base for the raglan shaping, And then I made my own sleeves that I was really excited about. I used Pearl Soho's tussock yarn for this garment. And then I'm gonna run and change into my Sunday outfit to show you, because I did make 3 sweaters. I also spun and knit Caitlin Hunter's Miserina sweater, which I modified by adding long sleeves. I continued the cable and eyelet motif between these 2 cables. I put down the sleeves, and I added decreases to both the arms and the body. I knew that I was playing a little bit of a yarn chicken game with the yardage of the main color, so I knew I would save a little bit of yarn by tapering the shape of the body to this garment. I am so in love with the color work and the combination of color work with lace and cables in this design. It's a truly incredible sweater pattern, and I can't wait to knit more sweaters in my future. I do host a podcast on YouTube. It's called Thread to Mend, and feel free to find me on Ravelry, Instagram, or Twitter as Taylor E. Owen.
Well, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
This is the Miss Serena by Caitlin Hunter, and it's knitted in Willard yarns. So the main color is Dead Calm, and the contrast color is Last Unicorn.
And where can we find you on social media?
On Ravelry, I'm Sarita, the number 1, and on Instagram, I'm Sarita Unraveled.
My Rhinebeck sweater is the Miserina Tee by Boylan Knitworks, Caitlin Hunter, which I did as a test kit for her, made out of cold fingering merino, and I love it.
I also made the Miserina Tee by Caitlin Hunter, and I tried on Tasha's and I just loved it. It was a size larger than I would normally make, but because I tried it on, I was like, no, it's really nice in that oversized fit, perfect for Sydney weather. So we're right in front of the Sydney Opera House today. I'm really happy that we can join you from Australia.
I made the Miserina Tee as well. Can we ask you now? We did a knit along so that we'd be ready in time to send this video to you.
I am C-C and Handmade Create on Instagram.
I'm Tina McLeish, and you can find me on Instagram as Knit Fixer.
And I'm Linda Scocca, and you can find me on Ravelry as Boblin, B-O-B-L-I-N.
Hey guys, it's Erica and Jess, and these are Rhinebeck sweaters. Erica, why don't you tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater? My Rhinebeck sweater is Caitlin Hunter's Miserina Tee. I did it in Spun Right Rounds Hard Eyes, and then the fun neon pink is Stitch Together Studios and Let's Make Out. How about you, Jess?
My sweater is also Caitlin Hunter. It is the Sunset Highway with cake wool yarn.
You want some cake, 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 cake? Is there anything special about your sweater?
Yes, I decided to change the wavy line from the green to the pink just to have more contrast in the sleeves of my sweater. Anything fun for yours?
I decided to Caitlin Hunter had 2 different body types. An eyelet version and a pearl version, and I decided to do the pearl version for like a little bit more texture in my sweater.
Nice.
Do you want to tell them where we can find you?
Yeah, you can find me at its_Jess_Bell on Instagram, and on Ravelry it's indie-darling.
You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at Waffle Belgium.
Bye!
I'm Vanessa. I'm a mechanical engineering student from Toronto, Canada, and an avid knitter. And this is my Rhinebeck sweater. I knitted the Sunset Highway by Caitlin Hunter in a size small. I was worried it would be too small, but after I blocked it, it was perfect and it fits wonderfully. The yarn I chose was Indigo Dragonfly, and Indigo Dragonfly is hands down my favorite yarn company. I used the Cashmerino base in blue colors because blue is my joyful color. It makes me so happy. And the modifications I made were I changed around the colors in the yoke, I moved the elbow patches, and I also cropped the bottom of the sweater because I like cropped sweaters, and I added more ribbing to the bottom to prevent curling. It turned out great and I'm so happy with it. You can follow me on Instagram at Vanessa Van Decker.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater. I knit the cloth sweater by Caitlin Hunter. The gray is shepherd's wool in pewter. The red is Neighborhood Fiber Company in Waverly, and then the blue is Spin Cycle yarn in Melancholia. And this is my first colorwork sweater.
And my sweater is called Hug, and it's by Rachel
Inslee, I believe. Sorry if I've slaughtered that. I learned about this from you, Christy, on one of your finished objects, and I've been looking and looking for that very first sweater that this one said I could do. So here I am. I am super excited. I love this sweater. The two yarns were held together or are. As you might see, I'm still in process. This is by Madtosh and it's called Thunderstorm. I love the yarns. It went very well.
My favorite thing is that I think that these little arrows look like arrowheads, and it's fall, which made me think of football season, and we're here in Tallahassee and we have Florida State Seminoles, so that's kind of why it just made me think of that.
When I was little, I was awful. I was not a knit-worthy child, but my mother was gracious and knit me many, many beautiful things that I would like. Ugh, too itchy. So my favorite fiber was mohair and still is. So that's what I love, is how soft this superwash merino, thank you, I just remembered, mixed with the mohair that has some silk in it is just phenomenal.
This is the Tsubaki Sweater by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Knitworks, and I've knit it in Madeline Tosh Twist Light. My name's Christine and I'm from Vancouver, Washington, and you can find me on Ravelry at KrisMAU and on Instagram at CHMAU 2018.
I'm Mary Ames. And I'm Stephanie Ames. We're mother-daughter knitters from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we both knit the same sweater this year, the Spike by Caitlin Hunter. Mine is knit with hedgehog fibers with gray and lots of green and other colors in it. And then woolen boon for the lace. I love all the colors in the gray, and I love my Rhinebeck tag that Stephanie gave me for Christmas last year. And my sweater is made with the Farmer's Daughter fibers in Moon Sisters for the body, and then the yoke is EcoView Fiber Mills lapidary yarn. And obviously I'm not done with my sweater yet because I had to frog the entire yoke back because I misread the pattern. You can find me on Ravelry under Ames Mary, and on Instagram, AmesMary57. And you can find me on Ravelry at SAmes4 and on Instagram S_Ames2. And Ames is spelled A-M-E-S for both of us. Yes.
My name's Lillian. I'm the independent dyer behind Hub City Fibers, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It is Caitlin Hunter's Stagecoach sweater, which is used using my sturdy base, which is a DK weight 100% Highland wool base. And it's using 4 colorways: my parchment colorway, my abracadabra colorway, navy, and my Como Rebby colorway, which is a kind of like this greenish colorway. It is gonna be the type of sweater that I wear like every single day. You can find me at Ravelry LP384, or you can follow me on Instagram at Hub City Fibers if you want to follow along.
I'm Natalie Wolf from Cincinnati, Ohio, and my Rhinebeck sweater is Ghost Horses from Boyland Knitworks, and I don't have any affinity for horses, but since it's the 4th Caitlin Hunter sweater I've knit since COVID, I thought it was only appropriate that I wear this one for Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater. I knit it in Uru Sugared Sport, which is from my February or March knit crate. That's the background, and Spin Cycle Dyed in the Wool. You can find me on Ravelry. I'm Natalie1963. And Instagram, I'm Natalie Wolf from Cincinnati, Ohio.
This is my Caitlin Hunter Ghost Horses, Long Meadow Farms wool.
There's the horsies. This is Shara Blankenship. This is my mom, Peggy Lidas. Mom doesn't usually get to go to Rhinebeck with me, but she was super excited to participate in this year's Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater. This is Mom's Caitlin Hunter Ghost Horses, as she said. I'm going to insert a picture if I can and show you what happened. She accidentally steeked it, so it was going to come down here, which was super unfortunate because she put so much beautiful work into it. And then she cut it without realizing it was like that, and we almost cried. Then I remembered that
she actually had this line right here that we could unpick. So we unpicked the entire top yoke from the sleeves and the bottom, and I rotated so everything fit. I worked like a mad woman to get the ribbing completed so she could wear it for Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater.
Because I'm not allowed to knit.
Yeah, she hurt her hand. That's Mom's Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater story, and hopefully next year I will be back with my own.
I am Naomi. I am the yarn curator here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And for my Rhinebeck sweater this year, I knit the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter. This was going to be my first Rhinebeck, so I thought what better way to commemorate the trip than to knit my first hand-spun sweater. So I knit this out of my own hand-spun yarn. The fiber came from John Arbin, and I could not be more thrilled, and I absolutely love it.
I am wearing White Horse by Caitlin Hunter, and the yarn is by Knit Crate. You can find me on Instagram as Sisters Knit and More, and you can find me on Ravelry as Shaw Cares. And here's my sweater.
Hey Cheryl. Hey Gazelle. I'm here this morning in sunny Summit, New Jersey. How about you?
I'm coming to you all the way from Dubai this afternoon. The sun is slowly starting to set, so before we lose the light, let's do this. So Cheryl, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
Well, my Rhinebeck sweater is the White Horse by Caitlin Hunter, and I did it double stranding Julie Aslin's Fino and Ice Jaeger's silk mohair so that I have a nice halo. It's really soft. I've got good stitch definition, and it's just cozy and a little bit cropped. Tell me about yours, Gazelle.
Well, I'm also wearing the White Horse sweater. We both had this sweater in our queues. It's patterned by Caitlin Hunter, also known as Boyland Knitworks. And we both had the yarn in our stashes, which was great. We both did it in 10 days, so yay us, high five us. I used a yarn by a dyer called Fuse Fiber Studio, and it's an alpaca, merino wool, and silk blend, and so squishy, and I love it, and I'm glad that I got to use it on a Rhinebeck sweater. I can be found at Sea Upstring on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. Both Cheryl and I knit a lot, so you can see what we're up to throughout the year.
And I can be found at Cheryl Costa _Price on Instagram.
This is the Guthrie by Caitlin Hunter. It both is and is not my first ever sweater. So this is the sweater that made me want to knit sweaters, but I was terrified of doing something wrong. So the first sweater I ever knit was just a basic top-down raglan, but I was knitting this one at the same time. So I did everything on that one first in case I made any mistakes, and then I did this one afterwards once I was comfortable. The yarn, the blue, is Malbrigo in Azul Profundo, and the contrast color is Dragonfly Fibers in Carolina, and I love it so much. And you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Becky Brarian.
Hey everyone! For my Rhinebeck sweater, I made Caitlin Hunter's Soldotna. I used Dream and Color yarn. I got a great kit inspired by the Grand Canyon from the Pearl and the Pines Knit Shop in Flagstaff, Arizona. Happy Rhinebeck Day!
Hi from Australia. I decided for my Rhinebeck sweater to knit Caitlin Hunter's Soldotna crop. I used 100% superwash merino wool, which I dyed with food coloring. My favorite color is purple. I also did a pink and blue. I decided to make the arrows come out instead of all one direction because I guess the asymmetry of it just kind of bothered me. So I basically just, for this section, I just knit halfway and did like the mirror image of the chart going in the other direction. Then towards the end, this ended up being a bit of a diamond shape. So I just went over with my pink with a duplicate stitch and did a little star. And then in the back, it comes together as a little X. Yeah, I also ran out of my purple yarn, so I ended up doing the ribbing in pink and then did a little bit of a rolled hem with what purple I had left over. On Instagram, I am Nadine Mullins, NADINEMULLINS, and on Ravelry, I am Knitini, KNITEENEY.
My name is Marina. I live in South Australia.
I will probably never go to Rhinebeck, which is on the other side of the world, but I would really like to share my Rhinebeck sweater. As you probably know, it's a Soldatna by Caitlin Hunter, and I've used all Australian yarn to knit this sweater. This is indie dyed yarn and what's left of it. So this yarn is from New South Wales by Circus Tonic Handmade. This yarn is a beautiful red one, is from Queensland, from Linda Pomeranke, and this is grey from Miss Click Luck, who lives in Victoria in Melbourne. I really like knitting this sweater. You can actually find all the details of that on my Instagram, which is Handmade Koala, or Ravelry page, which is Handmade Koala. Of course I'm Koala.
Hey y'all, my name is Macy and I am from Fort Worth, Texas, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. This is a Novelli by Caitlin Hunter, and I modified it. I made the sleeves longer, I tucked in the necks, and I actually steeked it, which you can't tell. But this is knit out of my hand-dyed yarn, which is Mace of Skeins, and you can find me on Etsy. The information is on the screen right now. This is my Spade base, which is 75/25. And this is my sweet potato color. This beige is called Sandcastle, and then the brown is called Oh Fudge. And I love the way this turned out. I went ahead and made the sleeves long sleeve, and I bound off in a contrasting color. This sweater is actually supposed to be short sleeve. And then the neck, I also bound off in a different color, and then I seamed it a little bit shorter because I am not a scoop neck person. And I did forget to do the stretchy bind off. So when I put it on, I really have to like shove my head through it, but you can't tell when it's on. And the steeking part, I did not follow the directions, and I knit way longer than I should have, and then connected in my armpit hole was about that big. So I had to do a crochet, I had to ladder down, then do a crochet steek on both sides, and then I cut in so I could add my arms. This is my Rhinebeck sweater knit out of Mace of Skeins yarn.
I'm coming to you from Wickford, Rhode Island in my Rhinebeck sweater. It is Nelchina from Boylan Knitworks, and I used 4 colors of Craggy Tweed from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers. Last year at Rhinebeck, I was very inspired by my friend Alyssa from Cake Wool. She had done a beautiful Nelchina in her kind of signature cake wool colors, purples and pinks, and so I decided to make one because that's what knitting is all about. And I absolutely love color work. It's my favorite thing to do, and I just think this Navajo design is so cool. The cabled sleeves took a long time, but there's a lot of love in this sweater. My name's Lizzie, and I'm coming to you from the Mermaid's Pearl. You can find us on Instagram at Mermaid's Pearl, or Facebook, or online at www.themermaidspearl.com.
I'd love to tell you about my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater. This is a knitted design by Caitlin Hunter. It is the Nelchina sweater, and I knitted it out of yarn from the Green Mountain Spinnery. Ironically, I purchased this green yarn at the 2016 Rhinebeck Festival, which is where I first saw you holding up your sparkly sign saying, "Tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater." I was included in that first video, and you also introduced me to the World of Knitting podcasters. So thank you so much for both of those. I am BLV1248 on Ravelry, and I am Yaya's Knits on Instagram. Oh, and this was my first steek. Thank you.
My name is Lorian, and I go by Golf Boys Mom, boys with a Z, on Ravelry, and I go by Golf Boys Mom Knits, again with a Z, on Instagram, and I'm 1/4 of the Knitting Posse podcast, and we're knitting_posse. So my first sweater today is the Miserina Tee by Caitlin Hunter, and I knit it in the rust color is Amanda Hope Merino Linen, and the cream color is by Flower Hill Fleeces in their Egyptian cotton, which is a linen, alpaca, and silk blend. For the most part, I did the pattern as it was written. I lengthened the body to a full length, and I lengthened the sleeves a little bit longer than the pattern called for. I'm super happy with it, and I really enjoyed knitting with merino linen.
It's Caitlin Hunter from Boylan Knitworks coming at you from Oregon instead of Rhinebeck this year. Anyway, this is my virtual Rhinebeck sweater. It's a new collaboration called the Painted Pullover, a new design by me, a collaboration with Cheryl Cox of Essence of Autumn Yarn. She is a super talented Canadian dyer, and I was really inspired by her beautiful slub hand-painted yarn. Look. I wanted to do a design that really highlighted her beautiful yarns, and it's really about the yarn and about the beautiful colors. This sweater uses 3 colors of her yarn, and they blend in and out for a sort of like sunset-y painted kind of look. Anyway, I hope you like it. I wish I was there seeing everybody's sweaters in person, but I'm really glad that Christy is doing this so that we can see them virtually. See you guys all next year.
I knit the Pink Velvet Sweater by Andrea Mowry. The yarns I used, the body is knit in Stress Knits Yarns, favorite base on the Rust Belt color. And the color work is Surrey Habits by Yarn Habits. It's a lace weight yarn, so I held it double for the color work. I'm really pleased with how it came out. Modifications that I made, I lengthened the sleeves and I added this little bit of color work to the cuff. I'm really pleased with how that came out. I also lengthened the body to a full length.
Tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater. Hi, so I'm Lexi. This is my Rhinebeck sweater and this is my mom. Say hi. Hi. I knit both of our Rhinebeck sweaters. My Instagram is @crafty_Lexi and my Ravelry is Lexi Crochets. So my sweater is the Tsubaki Sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I just finished this one. It's colorwork fingering. I used Cascade 220 and a Hedgehog Fibers Lucky Dip color for mine. And then I knit my mom's sweater for her for Mother's Day back in May. And it's the Pink Velvet Sweater by Andrea Mowry. I used O-Wool in gray. And this is a yellow yarn that I got from Stitches Midwest. I don't know, there was no label on it. I don't know who made it. But this is her sweater. Do you like your sweater? I love my sweater. And I didn't use mohair, I just used fingering for the color work. And this was my first color work sweater, and this was my second. And these are our sweaters.
Hi, I'm Kim Wilpon, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. I knitted the Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry. I used Miss Babs Hot Shot in colorway Cordovan, and the pink is Life in the Long Grass Fine Sock in colorway Antique. I knitted this sweater because I had lost one of my skeins of Miss Babs yarn that I had purchased a few years ago at Rhinebeck, and I was devastated when I lost it. But I had given up looking for it, and then during quarantine, I was cleaning out the couch and I found a skein of yarn, and it was my missing skein of Miss Babs Hot Shot. And I immediately was like, I need to knit a sweater with this, like right now. And so I found the Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry, and I had the Life in the Long Grass, and I thought that was just like a perfect matchup. And honestly, I could not be more happy with the turnout of it. I love it so much. So you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry @KimWilpon, and I also have a crafting vlog called Kim Wilpon Crafts on YouTube. So see you soon.
Hi Christy and Fiber friends, I'm Nancy from Deep South Texas. I'm La Jolla Girl on Ravelry and Instagram. I want to tell you about my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry. And the main color is Cranberry Sauce by Chicken Coop Dye Works. The contrast color is, I held Knit Picks Aloft together with Peyton's Croy in the cold colorway. And please don't mind our chickens in the background. Thank you.
Hey babe, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
Well, this is the Pink Velvet pattern by Andrea Mowry. And for the main color, I used Neighborhood Fiber Company in Studio Sock in the colorway Thomas Circle. And for the colorwork yoke, I used Tempting You in Van Gogh's Irises, held together with a mohair silk by Mitchell's Creations in the colorway Catastrophe. Yeah. And this is my first colorwork sweater. And I'm very pleased with how it turned out.
You did a very good job.
And I think it looks like cotton candy and stained glass.
I think, yeah, like stained glass, almost like flowers. Yeah, look at that.
I'm on Instagram and Ravelry @Colleen M. Davis.
Fabulous.
My name is Kimbuktu7 on Rav, and I'm wearing Andrea Mowry's Fade Neve in Noble Character Crafts Pitter Patter base in cold water blue, and also held together with Valley Yarn Southampton in the colorway Slate Blue.
Hi, my name is Colin. This was supposed to be my first Rhinebeck, but instead I'm here at the Kings County Fiber Festival in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm wearing my Rhinebeck sweater, which is the Daily by Andrea Mowry. It is knit in Loop Fiber Studios Yin Yang yarn in worsted weight, and it is the color between a rock and a hard place, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
I'm Alana. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. This is the White Pine by Andrea Mowry, and the yarn I used was Bahram U Winterburn, and the colorway was Heathcliff. The White Pine calls for worsted weight yarn, but the yarn I had was DK weight, so I just made a few adjustments there and knit a different size than I normally wear, and it worked out. A couple of things about this pattern. First, I love this garter stitch detail that creates this V here in the front and in the back and at the sleeve. I love that. The other thing is I learned a couple new skills with this pattern. First was this provisional cast on that I did. I'd never done that before. The other was a set-in sleeve for knitting in the round. So I'd never done that before either. So that was really fun to learn 2 new skills.
I'm Shannon, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. This is the Ginny cardigan by Andrea Mowry, of course. I knit it up in a yarn that I got from Rhinebeck last year. This is the Sawkill Farm fingering weight in the color Harvest. I did actually blend in a little bit of Bartlett yarn in the collar that I purchased at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival a few years ago. But back to the Sawkill Farm yarn, I actually have a funny story about it. When I went to Rhinebeck, I was agonizing about which yarn to pick, and I look up, and who's standing next to me? Andrea Mowry herself. I totally fangirled, and I said something like, "Oh my God, you're Andrea Mowry," and then she said something like, "Yeah," and then I was just like, "Hi," and that was about the interaction that we had together. But she did actually say that she liked this colorway, and obviously I bought it. And once the Ginny cardigan came out, I was like, this is what this yarn is meant to be. So I love it, easy to knit, super comfortable. I'm definitely gonna be wearing it all fall, winter. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as SC Dillon. That's Dillon with an H, and I'll just put that up right here.
Hi, I'm Alex, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. My sweater is the Throwover by Andrea Mowry, and I've wanted to make it ever since the pattern came out. I use Knit Picks Comfy Worsted for the black, and then the color work is done in a Loops and Threads meandering mini set. What's also special about this outfit is that I made this skirt, and it is my very first sewn garment, so I'm really proud of my first entirely handmade outfit. You can find me on Ravelry at AM Ingalls.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Weekender by Andrea Mowry, knit in Queensland Collection Kathmandu Aran 100, which is 85% wool, 10% silk, and 5% cashmere. I learned the tubular cast on, and I learned to pick my stitches instead of throw them. I really got good at short rows. This is my first grown-up sweater. I knitted 4 for my granddaughter, and I actually will have the sleeves done in time for the real Rhinebeck.
My name is Zoe. I knit the Weekender by Andrea Mowry, and this is in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in the Foothills colorway. And originally when I purchased this yarn, I had envisioned a lovely, cozy, all over cabled sweater However, the pattern that I started wasn't cooperating. I didn't have the brain space for it. So somewhere along the way, I decided to pivot and knit myself a weekender, which was a much more simplistic knit. And I'm really pleased with how this turned out. If you guys want to find me on social media, I am at zoe.nichols on Instagram, and I am Felicity Yarn Studio here on YouTube.
I'm Caitlin, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Shifty Sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I knit it in spin cycle yarn. The colors are really, really beautiful, and it's my very first sweater. I started knitting in March, and I finished it in July. I haven't been able to wear it yet, outside of my house really, because it's still 80 degrees here in Texas. I am on Instagram at KateKnitCo, K-A-I-T, knit co, C-O, and on Ravelry at Caitlin Pants, K-A-I-T-L-Y-N, pants, like a pair of pants.
My Rhinebeck sweater is the Shifty by Andrea Mowry. It is knit entirely out of the magical spin cycle dyed in the wool yarn. My name is Shannon, and you can find me as Whiskey and Wool on Ravelry and Instagram, and also I have my own YouTube channel where I talk about knitting and spinning, and I do a little whiskey chat every episode.
My sweater is the Stonecrop Pullover, designed by Andrea Mowry, knit in yarn from 3 Irish Girls and War of the Roses, and the color work is done in Spin Cycle Sunset Highway. This is my favorite sweater that I have knit all year because the color choices were made because I like them, but more importantly because of who they remind me of. So my great-grandmother's apartment used to be painted this kind of green, and the color work reminds me of Pink Lemonade, which was my daughter's first birthday theme. And that was the very last event that both of my grandmothers came to before they passed away soon afterwards. So this is super sentimental to me. My earrings, I was inspired by designs by Yasmen. And so I had a pair of hoop earrings, and I just took some scrap yarn and crocheted up a pair of earrings. And they're super lightweight and super cute. And if you don't have a pair of Yasmen's earrings, you should totally get them, because my daughter and I love the pair that I got. You can find me on Ravelry as TB Kennon, K-E-N-N-O-N, all lowercase, all one word. And you can find me on Instagram as a loop through a loop, through spelled T-H-R-U, a loop through a loop.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Velocore by Andrea Mowry, and it's knit up with Pearl Soho line weight. That's the gray and the black. And the contrast color is actually a skein that was gifted to me by my friend Susie, and she surprised me with it last Rhinebeck, and she had actually purchased it at the Edinburgh Yarn Fest in 2019. So even though these skeins and colors came to me separately, in an effort to knit through my stash and make beautiful things with what I already have, I made this gorgeous design, and I absolutely love it. My name is Emma, and you can find me on Instagram as The New York Year.
I'm Marnie. I'm Super Marno on Instagram and Ravelry.
And I'm Lauren, Knit Lauren on Ravelry.
And we made the Spark Cardi by Andrea Mowry from Drea Knits for our virtual Rhinebeck Sweater 2020.
I used Cascade 220 and crushed grapes for the main color, and Lana Grossa Tropico for the rest of the color work.
I used Swan's Island, which is the dark blue right here. Swan's Island is handcrafted organic wools from Maine, and this is agate color. It's a worsted weight. I also used the pink color, which is woolen vinyl. The name of the color is Walking Down to New Orleans, and I got this yarn last year when I was in New Orleans at a store called Quarter Stitch in the French Quarter.
I love the way the gradient came out in the color work, and it's really soft and warm. This was my first color work sweater, and it was really great practice because of having to change colors so often.
This is probably the most ambitious knitting project I've ever made. This sweater is knit in the round and it's steeked up the middle, and Lauren and I did it together. We were socially distant. We actually sat over there in my backyard. So we were knitting the sweater together because last year we went to Rhinebeck and we don't get to go this year. So we knit the sweater together. She came over here and we both steeked it at the same time because, you know, we need some support during this first time. I probably practiced a dozen times and I couldn't figure out how to do it. Finally, after watching 40 videos and trying a bunch of times, it finally worked. So then I felt confident to secure the sweater and steek it up the middle with Lauren's support. Yay! Thank you, Lauren. I love this sweater so much. It's gonna be so warm and cozy. You can already see the leaves changing here in New England. It gets really cold in Rhode Island in the winter, so I'm so excited to wear it. Look at this.
It was also my first time steeking, and it was really satisfying cutting through all those layers of yarn, and a little terrifying. When Marnie said she was gonna knit the spark, I saw the pattern and I jumped right in and joined her.
Rhonda and Jenna, we're here to show you our Rhinebeck sweaters. This is a portage cardigan. I chose it because I love the pattern on the back. And it is Madeline Tosh yarn, and I thought the yarn would look really great with the pattern, so that's why I made that. This is the Golden Hour shawl. It is Kettle Yarn Company, and it's an Andrea Mowry pattern, and I love her pattern, so I just made another one, and this is what I chose.
I love how they go together.
Thank you.
So
that was
cute.
not planned.
This is the Felix Pullover. The yarn is Petite Wool from We Are Knitters, and I believe it's called Neon Pink. And then this, of course, is the Night Shift Shawl by Andrea Mowry in Cascade 220 yarn, and I kind of made this my own by making it short sleeve instead of long, and it was supposed to be even more cropped, but I made it a little longer.
I am the Transplanted Country Girl on Instagram.
I am Rhonda_Lee.
I'm Elena from Brownsville, Texas, on the border by the sea. My first one is the Wool and Honey by Andrea Mowry in Red Stag Fibers Antique Leather. My second sweater is the Papa by Junko Okamoto, and I knit this as part of my budget yarn along in Lion Brand Pound of Love in Barley and Yarn Bee Glowing in Pink Multi. Then I knit the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter in her suggested yarn Retrosaria Rosa Pomar Vovo in her samples color choices because they're stunning. I knit the Throwover by Andrea Mowry, and I used Brooklyn Tweed Shelter Meteorite and Spin Cycle Dream State in Robin's Egg, Mississippi Marcella, and Melancholia. Then I knit the Shift by Andrea Mowry, and I used stash yarn for this. My hat is the Katie's Cap by Wilma Malcolmson for the Shetland Wool Week 2020. And this is my Rhinebeck 2020 outfit of the day. You can find me on Instagram as MEW3766 and on Ravelry as NENATW3766.
I'm Rose from Baltimore, Maryland, and this is my first Rhinebeck sweater. It's also my first sweater I steeked, so I was really happy about that. This actual pattern is called Spark by Andrea Mowry, and what's super nice about it is this cream and the green yarn are souvenirs that I bought when I took a road trip to Wing and Prayer Farm after my dad passed away, and it's called Thelma and Louise, and the purple is yarn that I actually spun myself. So it's the first time using my own hand spun in a sweater.
My name is Dina. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It is the Spark Cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and I knit it out of Barrett Wool Co. for the main color and Spin Cycle for the contrast color. And I love it. It is nice and cozy. It's going to be great for the fall, like a jacket. I'm Veggie Knit Mama on Instagram and on Ravelry.
Hi, this is Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and here is our Rhinebeck sweaters. All right, who wants to talk about their sweater?
I do.
I don't.
This is a cardigan.
Yeah?
That uses brioche.
Nope. Stranded color work?
Stranded color work. And I believe it has Spin Cycle and Magpie Fiber yarn.
Yeah, it sure does. Any other, what does it have? How about?
Oh, pockets.
Pockets. All right, Levi, you want to tell us about your sweater? Did somebody special in your life make that yarn? Yeah? That's Mama's hand spun. How about you, Olive? Do you know the name of your sweater? That's right. She's wearing the Bean and Olive sweater knit out of Lola Bean Yarn Co. And I'm wearing not one, but 2 Rhinebeck sweaters, also with pockets. All right. How do we feel about our sweaters? Do we love fall and sweater weather?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to go jump in some leaves.
Okay, bye-bye.
This is called Crossing Iden by Nona Davenport, Nona Pro Creations. She's a really talented designer out of the Pacific Northwest. This sweater has the most beautiful, magical brioche yoke that I've never seen anything like it. And when I first saw the sample, I was just stunned and I thought, how in the world do you make that yoke? And then a year later, I was doing it and it flew off my needles and it fits. It has this beautiful brioche detail around the cuff too. The yarn is from Polka Dot Sheep and she's out of Montana. Has a lot of beautiful colorways. Also sport my Designs by Yasmen earrings. Make me feel so good. My name is Nora Boss and I am on Ravelry as Knits and Rocks and Instagram as Knits and Rocks.
Hi, it's Jess. I go by Joy Fiber Arts and I am here as your roving reporter live in Personal Threads. Look at this place. Look at this wall. Isn't it amazing? How much Koigu can we have? All of it. We are thrilled that we get to bring you some of our virtual Rhinebeck sweaters here, the best of the Midwest. Well, we'll start off with this one right here. This is my Gray Space sweater by Tiff Nealon. Tiff hand knits. I used Knitted Wit, and this was great Smoky Mountain colorway. And for the bottom is Malabrigo Rios in Winter Lake, held with Aiden Miss, which is that Surrey alpaca. So it gave it that nice warmth feeling. And one thing I love about this one is, who doesn't love a sweater with thumb holes? Really? Tell us about your Rhinebeck sweater.
This is actually one that I made this summer and I ended up making a second one because I loved it so much. This is made from Tosh Merino Light with copper. And so it has just like that very subtle copper halo in it. This is the Clementine sweater by La Imperial Handmade. I love the fact that it has like the little slightly gathered ribbing on the sleeves, so it's kind of puffed.
Yeah.
And I also did Icelandic bind off on it to give it just a little bit of a decoration. The actual pattern doesn't call for like a twisted rib at the bottom, I don't think, but I liked that it mirrored this up here and it just helped it to pop out a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the detail pattern. Can you give us a twirl or a back so we can see the fullness of it? Ooh, and it goes like all the way around. It's gorgeous. We love it, Haley. Thanks so much for telling us about your Rhinebeck sweater. It's Jess again, and we're continuing with our Best of the Midwest virtual Rhinebeck sweaters. Right now I'm wearing, you guessed it, that's right, another Tiff Nealon sweater. Maybe she's my favorite designer right now. This one is a Traveler Pullover. I love that it has this wonderful fisherman's rib or faux brioche for those that want to try brioche but are a little bit scared. This is a great way to start. So it has that 2 color. This one here is made out of Madeline Tosh Pashmina, which I love. That little bit of cashmere is so wonderful. And this one's a great one because it's lightweight and I can layer it. The little split hem, high-low. It's so much fun. Tell me about your virtual Rhinebeck sweater.
My name is Ruth and I live here in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm on Ravelry, New Year, all one word. This is my beautiful Weekender by Andrea Mowry. And I bought the yarn here, shepherd's wool. It is warm, very warm for our cold Nebraska winters. And I already have a yarn for my Weekender Light because I love this one so much. I'd like one to wear in the spring and maybe fall.
I love that. That's so wonderful. Next up is what? The Wind-Kissed Pullover. This one is also by Tiff Nealon. Surprise again. And here we use Dream in Color Smushy with Cashmere in the colorway Brownie. This one really reminds me of fall. The texture here is really fun. She also adds a nice little texture here. I used some of my Stash Sparkle that for my contrasting color, and that was one of my friends who's no longer dying, but it was in one of her book boxes.
This is my Rhinebeck cowl. I use Cascade yarn. This is my very first project. I use my own design.
And then I did Whimsy Norse's Glimmer Crop. I used Queensland Collection, Kathmandu DK, Drover, and then Rowan Soft Yak DK, all from the stash. It was a great project.
And our next one is the Wonderlight Tee. This one is one of my favorites, and it might have been one of the 3 Rhinebeck sweaters that I would have worn this year, which would have been my first in-person Rhinebeck experience. And the reason is because this one is actually the New York City colorway from Barnyard Knits for their Vogue Knitting Live 2020. And I did not go to Vogue Knitting Live in New York, but I was able to snag a couple skeins of it to make this wonderful sweater. The contrast color is Wonderland Fibers, and it's in the Mad Hatter weight, and it's Magpie.
Hi, my name is Fatma. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's a cable pattern. It's Ilia by Michelle Wang. And the yarn I used is Donegal tweed in a yellow color, mustard kind of color. So super cozy, oversized, styled it with a belt. One of my favorite sweaters because it's so intricate and has different types of cabling done to it. And it is something that I'm going to put in my will for my children because it will live forever.
For our number 5 sweater from Jess here at Personal Threads Boutique. I mean, first off, let's just like look over here. Malabrigo for days. I'm telling you, for days. And if my lovely, amazing camera woman Meredith, she's right there, we're gonna video her and interview her soon. Maybe she'll give a little spin and show you the shop. We're rearranging, restocking, bringing out that fall stuff. But the sun's shining here in the Midwest, the leaves are starting to change, and it's starting to feel more and more like fall. Here I am wearing my Beachcomber top. And this again is also by Tiff Nealon. This one I love this one as well because it's one of those ones that I can layer kind of like a vest, especially as we're getting into the colder. It's one of those, I wear this type of sweater all year round. I use Dream in Color, smushy with cashmere. This is Beach Fog. And then I had a little tiny ball left over from another project of Ghost Town that I used for my I-cord trim. If you're anywhere near the Omaha, Nebraska area, we would love for you to stop by Personal Threads and say hi to us. Well, it's been great, and you know what? I'll be back with my actual Rhinebeck sweater in like a step. Ow! Look at that! It's like magic! It has been an honor and so much fun to be one of Kristyglass's roving reporters for Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck Sweater 2020! I couldn't leave you without sharing my own Rhinebeck sweater. It is the Coastal Crop Raglan by Tiff Nealon. I used the Farmer's Daughter's fibers. This is their craggy tweed in dumpling, which I think is the most perfect peachy fall color. And who doesn't love tweed with all those little flecks in there? It's beautiful. And then I used a Crazy Zobber Ball. Actually, it's one of their edition 3s, and I loved it, and that was for my contrast, so I have it up here around my neck and then also on my cuffs. And when I did a little bit longer cuffs so that I could kind of show off the change in the color. One thing I also love about this sweater is you can layer it in multiple ways, but it has this beautiful split seam and this faux cable detail down both of the sides. Tiff is all about texture in fun ways, and there's also up here is a little lace detail as well. You can kind of see it on both sides, front and back. I think it's perfect, paired over a wonderful dress, and you can't go to Rhinebeck without your boots and a nice hat. Bye!
My name's Meredith. You'll find me on Instagram at These Hands of Mine or on Ravelry at Myrno Blue Jay. And my Rhinebeck sweater is the Pengweeno by Stephen West. This knit was so fun. I really loved all the different opportunities to play with colors and combinations. The majority of what I used is stash knits or things I picked up while traveling, actually some from Stephen and Penelope when I was there. I loved the ability to combine what I had in my stash with other things, and a lot of what I got was from Personal Threads Boutique in Omaha. It is just an extravaganza of color, and I love in Stephen West that he kind of gives you the shape and then is just like, all right, go have fun with however you want to play. Another thing I really love about this sweater is the detailing on the back with the welts. It adds a lot of really simple but beautiful texture. And my other favorite thing is if you do a quick costume change, you get a bonus sweater. It's like 2 sweaters in one. So when you wear it this way, you've got the long panels in the front and a little shortness in the back. Good for showing off the tush.
Chevis, or as many of you know me, Chevy Rel here in the stuff room. And I am rocking my hand-spun Pengweeno by the one and only Stephen West. This sweater is many, many years of hand-spun awesomeness. It is filled with coils and baubles and buttons and pearls and whatever's back there. And it's so much fun. This is many years of my novelty or art yarn hand spun that I wasn't quite sure what to do with. I just always believed that it would tell me what it wanted to be, and what better thing to do with it than make it into a Pengweeno. I won't tell you about all the yarn, but I will tell you about this little patch right here, just because it's a fun story. We went to a fiber festival and a friend and I split a fleece, and we picked one. The sheep's name was Staple, which how cute is that? And when we went up to pay for it, the little girl said to her mom, "Oh, Mom, we get to keep him." And we were like, "What does that mean?" And she was like, "Well, we said that if Staples fleece didn't sell at this fiber festival, that we were going to move him on down the road." So I don't know where he is now, but at least he got to spend a little more time on the farm. I am Chevy Rel on the interwebs. This is the Stuff Room, and I have a podcast on YouTube called Chevy Rel's Stuff. I am also Chevy Rel on Instagram and Ravelry.
I'm Ed Jones from Charlotte, North Carolina. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as EBJONES USA. It is the Marled Mania sweater by Stephen West. It's a very comfortable sweater to wear. It uses 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together to give a light worsted weight fabric. The body of the sweater and the sleeves were done in reverse stockinette, and that gives it some additional texture, and there are a lot of yarn changes, so you have the opportunity to add a lot of color. You can really put your personal touch into this section and let your personality shine through. Also included in the pattern is a fingerless mitt that is knit right into the sweater. I probably will use mine with the sweater cuff rolled down. I'm in Charlotte and we have a very moderate climate. We do have a few cold days in the winter, so it'll be nice to have fingerless mitt built into it in case you need it. I use an awful lot of yarns. I'll call out the names, but most of them are local in association with Charlotte, at least for me. There are a few that are not. And in those cases, they tended to be trunk shows or yarns that were specifically dyed for Charlotte area type functions. Native fiber, and it's in the yoke and the cuffs. I used Emma's yarn in the 10 Questions colorway. I used several Lola Bean yarns. I used a couple of La Bien-Aimée and Miss Babs yarns. I also used yarn from the Fiber Studio at Yarns to Die For. I used the Ava Lou yarn, which is the Charlotte Yarns shop's exclusive yarn. That's dyed by Eloise of Butterfly's Web I also used a couple of yarns from Twisted Owl, and the last yarn that I used in the sweater was Malabrigo, and that was significant to me because it was the first nice yarn that I actually bought to knit with. I'm so happy to have had this opportunity to participate, and although I had hoped to go to Rhinebeck and have not made it to this point, I hope that I will get an opportunity to see some of you at some point in Rhinebeck.
I am Dana, aka Call Me DWJ, and this is Jelly Bean, and we are sharing our Rhinebeck sweaters, and I figured I'd show off Jelly Bean's sweater since she doesn't get to come to Rhinebeck. So I am wearing a Homecoming Cardi by Shay Johnson, knit and crochet, and the main solid colors are Knit Picks Mighty Stitch, and the contrast color is by Knitty and Color, and it's called Unicorns versus Sharpies. And then for Jelly Bean, we're wearing the West Knits Painting Bricks sweater, and most of the yarn is Miss Babs and Barocco and a little bit of Neighborhood Fiber Company. So we are super happy that we got some finished sweaters for virtual Rhinebeck this year. And I am Dana, call me DWJ on Instagram.
Tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater.
Oh, this is the Frida Fly by Catherine Clark. The pink is Manos del Uruguay yarn in the color Fascinated in their Fino base, and the birds are knit in Skein Cocaine's Hot Socks in the special colorway. This was a really hard and fun knit for me. I'm not a colorwork person, and so I had all the issues with tension, everything like that comes along with it. I think it blocked out really well, and I really enjoyed knitting it. I was inspired by Dana Williams Johnson's post on Modern Daily Knitting in May, and as soon as I read her article, I think I went in and found this stash yarn and cast it on immediately.
I'm Aviva. This year's sweater is my own design, and I designed it because this year I also turned 50. So I wanted to do a little ode to the 70s. So it's a little bit cropped and it's a little bit retro. It has a seam that I actually put on the outside versus the inside. So I thought I'd make it a little funky. Unfortunately, I did not get this yarn at my store. I'm the owner of Woolly & Co. And I was on a trip to Uruguay, and we went to Manos de Uruguay, and we picked up some beautiful yarn. So I decided to use it to kind of do a little bit of a tribute to where I got my yarn. I just wanted to show off my sweater. It was really fun to knit. This yarn is so amazing. It's a silk and it's a wool blend. This color is moss. If you're interested in some of my other designs, which I have published because this one I have not, you can always follow me on Instagram. I'm at Woolly & Co. or on Facebook, also Woolly & Co. And if you live in the Michigan area, come visit me.
Mi nombre es Marianela y ella es Nicole, mi traductora. Hello, this is Marianela and I am Nicole, her translator. Yeah, we're sending this video from Spain. Y llevaría puesto el reflejo de Uyuni, que es un poncho. So she would be wearing her Reflections of Uyuni, which is a poncho. Que es diseño propio, diseño de Marianela Gallo. Yeah, this is her own design. This is Marianela Gallo and her design. Lo tejí con Robledal de la Santa, que es muy especial porque es su propia granja de cabras de Angora. So these are Angora goats, and this is a Spanish brand called Robledal de la Santa, so that is the yarn that she is using.
My name is Megan, and I can be found on Instagram as Turtle House Knits or on Ravelry as Turtle Girl 24. This is a basic raglan pullover that I designed myself with a basic color work band. It is made out of Kramer Yarns DK, which is a merino acrylic blend, and the color work is made out of Sublime Yarns extra fine merino wool. I really enjoy how long the sleeves are. They are the perfect length for me, and the length of it just hits at about mid-hip.
I'm Jules from Juliet Pico Designs, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It is a waffle stitch cardigan. Here's the stitch up close. I designed it myself, It's just past hip length, so it's nice and cozy for fall. It is made in Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes, worsted weight in the colorway Amber Heather. And because it's the exact same color as an apple cider donut, and because I ate a lot of apple cider donuts while I was knitting it, I'm gonna name the design Apple Cider Donut. And I'll be looking for testers soon. So if you are interested in testing the sweater or seeing when it's released, this is all of my info. You can follow me on Instagram at Juliet Paco Designs, and you will be the first to know when it is ready for testing. Happy Rhinebeck!
Hey Christy, it's Vincent of Vesuvio's Crafts, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater and how I would have styled it for Rhinebeck. This little jacket serving multiple purposes. This is the actual sweater. It's my On the Hill sweater pattern that I'll be sending out a tester call for soon. It's a top-down drop shoulder pattern with a nice comfortable crew neck. Hopefully you can see that crew neck, and it's really fun to just stripe however you like. These are all yarns that I got from fiber festivals and shop updates. It's made with DK weight yarn, knit. It's a knit sweater, and of course we had to stick to the Rhinebeck tradition of something being incompleted. So we have no sleeves done here. So the jacket is giving us the illusion of sleeves, and there's no needles in the bottom this year. The hem is completed, but this is my almost finished Rhinebeck sweater. See you next year!
Hello, I'm Chloe and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. I would never have a chance to go to Rhinebeck, so I wanted to design something. This is my sweater design. The main colour is from a local hobby shop. The green is Irish Artisan Yarns, and the leaf colourway is bi-stranded dye wax. And my Instagram handle is chickpea and ginger.
Kathleen Dames here to share my Rhinebeck sweaters. Thought I'd do two today. Of course, first and foremost, I'm going to wear Fougasse aux Herbes, which I released not too long ago. It's a long cardigan. It's made out of Juniper Moon Fibers Patagonia, which is a merino blend. Actually, it's just merino, and it's soft but sturdy enough and shows off this beautiful lace panels on the sleeves and the back, and it's nice and long and cozy, and I designed it and knit it early on in the pandemic, and I've been wearing it ever since. Super cozy. It's like my security blanket. And then if there was a day two of Rhinebeck, which there usually is, I would be wearing my Winter Bride, which is a cabled raglan, and I didn't put buttons over the buttonholes on one side and laced it up instead. So you can imagine some Winter Bride wearing it and being all gorgeous. The yarn is Elemental Affects Civility Sport. And I just love all the cables. So some lace, some cables, long, short, Rhinebeck sweater.
Hi, I'm Kristen Ragsdale. This is Kansas City. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's one of my own designs. It's the Haydn sweater. It comes out later this year. It's made in DK Treasure Goddess yarn. And you can find me on anywhere online by Kristynistic. That's Kristinistic.
It's Deb Gerhard of Spruce Lane Designs. I'm here with my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Smoldering Embers sweater. There's a quick little close-up of the yoke. It's knit top down in the round using spin cycle yarns dyed in the wool in Brooklyn Tweed Loft. I was actually duly prepared this year in case we had another 80+ degree day like we did a couple years ago. I had a short sleeve version that I knit up to because the pattern has both versions in it. And lastly, no Rhinebeck sweater is complete without a gorgeous pair of these crocheted earrings by Designs by Yasmen.
This sweater is called In the Pines Tea, and it is my new design that I just released at the end of September. It is knit boxy style, and the main color is Woolen Pine from Spun Right Round. And then the contrast that I used was a mini that I had in stash that I thought just worked perfect, and that mini was from blue Savannah yarn, and I don't know the colorway because it was a random mini at a Fiber Fest. My Instagram name is Just Livin' Designs, and my Ravelry name is Just Livin', designer name Shannon Larson.
It's Barbara from Naples, Florida, and I am You Be Kind on Instagram. This is my own design, and it's called Strawberry Daiquiri. I haven't put it up on Ravelry yet. I just finished it, and so stay tuned for the pattern. And it is from yarn from Knit One, Crochet Two. It's a linen, hemp, and silk blend. I put a little split hem in it, a little lace at the top, and I just love it. This is my Stripalicious shawl, and this is in the Yellow Brick Road from La Embaume. And I just love this. Again, I haven't put this pattern up, but stay tuned and I will. And I dedicate this to my mom. She passed away last year on Rhinebeck weekend, so we couldn't come. And she's the one who taught me how to knit, and she loved it that I continued that tradition. And now I've handed it down to my daughters, Sarah and Becky.
I'm Amy Spar. I'm from Michigan. I decided to challenge myself and design my first sweater. I did it in pieces, so it's 2 pieces from the bottom up. I did some decreasing around here so that the ribbing wouldn't be too tight and snug. I stitched it together, and then I did my sleeve from the top down in the round. And I knit this gorgeous oversized cable cowl and attached it afterwards. And then just to add a little bit of flair, I added a tassel. You can find me on Ravelry at Sparkle, and that's S-P-A-H-R-K-L-E, and then Sparkle Hand Knits on Instagram.
I'm Allie from New Scotland Knots on Instagram and Ravelry, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. So this is my cardigan. I designed it myself after being inspired by Taylor Swift's new album, Folklore, and it just represents everything cabin and cottagey and a cozy knit that your grandpa would have had. I tried to design it as so it's very oversized. You barely see the ribbing at the end, but it is there. It was my first ever design, so lots of learning experiences that went through this, from measurements to how to write a pattern, as well as different type of cabling. And it's also my first sweater that I pieced together. I knit this with Bergs and Little Heritage. It's a really toothy wool, but I thought it would represent the whole cabin themed very well. I'm Allie from New Scotland Knots on Instagram and Ravelry.
This is Beth McDonald-Stone reporting in from Bermuda. I knit my Rhinebeck sweater with my own design. This is La Bien-Aimée, DK, in the Hudson and Kingston colorways. I can't remember which is which, but Hudson, Kingston. Just a fun raglan with some color work here and a bit of deconstructed raglan detail down the side. Happy knitting.
My name is Jennifer Curly Girl, or on Ravelry, I'm Jennifer Walsh. My Rhinebeck 2020 sweater is one of my own designs, the Meadow Island Cardigan. It is a top-down, round yoke sweater with pearl ridges growing wider as you move down the yoke. With one color and minimal seaming, it is so fun to make. I used Linnea Pura 4-season yarn. It is a blend of organic cotton, organic merino, and recycled cashmere. The Meadow Island cardigan is soft, stylish, simple to make, and good for the planet. Jennifer Curly Girl's design motto is creativity and community.
Well, I'm a high school teacher, and I've always worked in prep school, so my style is preppy with an edge. And there's always that letter sweater that I've always wanted to have in my wardrobe, but I decided to make it, and without knowing if there was a certain technique when you mix, work with 2 yarns. So I did it, I showed it to my friends on Zoom, and they're like, Carla, something's off with this. So they said, have you heard of intarsia? And I said, no. So I read up on it, looked on YouTube, and learned that there is a knitting technique so you can do a letter sweater. So I redid my entire sweater, which hurt a little bit, but it was worth it. And now I can wear this to school with my prep style. I used from Bridge Studio 29, and I love their yarn. I discovered them on Vogue Knitting Live, and their stuff is amazing. So I used 3 different color yarn from them, and it's great to knit with. I'm at Posh Teacher #1, and on Facebook I'm Posh Teacher, and on YouTube I'm Posh Teacher.
I am coming to you from up on the hill, not the Rhinebeck hill, but a hill here in the south of Spain in Granada. My name is Nicole and I am a knitter from New York, living here in Andalusia. So first, I have my seer cloak. This cloak is a design by Ninja Chickens. I knit it in Let Lopi. This was the first time that I steeked anything, and when I fell in love with Latvian braids, so love this cloak. This is my latest design. This is the Cuello Salteña, which I actually explain in my little podcast where I talk about knitting and herbalism and natural dyeing and all that stuff. This was a design challenge that some knitting friends here in Spain organized as something for us to design and bring to Barcelona Knits Festival. And this is knit in the lovely Dingolondango yarns. This is my Una Pruna cardigan, which I invented using Tintica's naturally dyed yarn in the Pruna colorway. And I got this yarn at the Barcelona Knits Festival last year, and I designed this really fun color work with Latvian braids. And this is a project that I'm really proud of, and I think it came out really beautifully. So here is my top by Kat Weaver of the Heather and Hops podcast, and this is her Cala Galdana, and I think it's a beautiful pattern. And I naturally dyed more of Tintica's yarn with Vitex, which is a beautiful plant, and I got this lovely color using the leaves.
My name is Candace Miller. It's called the Fraggle Rock coat. It's my own design, and it's both knit and crocheted. The sleeves are knit with Lion Brand, that 70s yarn for the fluffy stuff, and Heartland is the teal. The crocheted part is actually 60 granny squares. I used 6 different types of granny squares and 10 rows. Yay, math. If you want to know more about the project, I'm actually on Ravelry as Yarn Soca, and you can find me using Yarn Soca as a hashtag on Instagram or by my username, which is Candace Dunlap Miller.
Hi, I'm Zandy Peters, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. Well, it's kind of more of a coat. I made it out of this cool yarn from Lion Brand called That 70s Yarn, and it's supposed to look like a shag rug. It really does. I also made a blanket out of it because it was on sale for 90% off at Michael's. So my Rhinebeck sweater cost me under $10 to make. I'm really proud of it, and the pattern was actually improvised, and it was on these giant needles. I think it turned out pretty well. I'm thinking of adding some sort of toggles or a fastener, but I'm not sure what kind yet. I have plenty of time before next Rhinebeck when we'll all be able to see each other again. It's going to be so much fun.
My name is Hanna, I'm from Germany, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It is a knit sweater, it's a top-down circular yoke. I knit it with Schachenmeier Regia 4-ply, and you can maybe see it has all these lovely speckles in blue and purple and yellow. This sweater is really special for me because it is my own design, and I knit it during a road trip that I did with a friend. And whenever I wear it, I remember the wonderful time that we had together. If you want to find me on Instagram, I'm Merc Garden Knitwear and on Ravelry as well.
My Rhinebeck sweater is Chicane by Jimenez Joseph, also known as Jimmy Knits. I made this out of super old, ancient, inherited stash yarn because ever since the lockdown I've had this idea of knitting up some of my stash, because when the yarn festivals come back on, I can stock up and buy new stash. I made this out of some very thin cotton yarn, even thinner than in the pattern stated, so I had to recalculate everything. But I'm very pleased how it turned out, and I decided to go without the little ribbons here because I've got 2 very small nephews, and I thought this was would be a bit too dangerous for them. Maybe. I'm Margaret. I'm from the south of Germany. You can find me on Ravelry as Druta.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's the Taroko sweater by Sandra Gutierrez from Nomad Stitches. It's not my first colorwork sweater in crochet. This is my first colorwork sweater, also the Taroko, and I love the pattern so much that I just had to make a second one. And I made this in lace weight, my second one, because I wanted to support my local yarn shop, and when I saw these vibrant, joyful colors, I just had to get it. I mean, it's pink. I just love it, love everything about it, how it turned out. I can't recommend this enough. It's crochet, and if you still hesitant about crochet colorwork, it's brilliant, just brilliant. There are no floats on the inside. Basically, the inside looks like the outside. I'm Claudia Dingle, and you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry as Sunbird Crochet.
My name is Catherine Howard, and I wanted to show you my 2019 Rhinebeck sweater because I didn't finish it in time for last year's Rhinebeck. This is the Aztec sweater, and it's by Nomad Stitches. It is crochet, and it uses a center single crochet stitch, which is why the stitches, can't really see too well, but stitches look knit. I use Knit Pink Stroll fingering weight yarn, and colors I used were cork and hollyberry and forest heather. Finally finished my sweater for 2019. If you want to find me online, LIRIOROJA, and I'm also on Instagram at the same one, at Lido Roja.
I'm Carlene, and I'm coming to you from Brooklyn General Store in New York. My Rhinebeck sweater this year is the Mosaica Gunes top by Sandra Gutierrez, who is also Nomad Stitches on Ravelry and Instagram, and her website nomadstitches.com. This is a crochet top with mosaic crochet in the round, and this was really fun to work on. It's not as challenging or tricky as the one I did last year, also by Sandra, which was the Taroko sweater. I really enjoyed this. It worked up pretty quickly, and it has this reversible neckline, so you can wear the scoop neck in the back or the front. I made this using Twisted Willow yarn in their merino linen fingering weight. It's a single ply, and it has really lovely drape and feels nice and light. This is going to be a sample in the store for a while, so if you're in Brooklyn, you can come check it out. I'm Carlenergy on Ravelry and Instagram.
Hello, my name is Lucy Safer. I am 12 years old and I am in Carborough, NC. My Rhinebeck sweater is called the Cuddly Cardigan by Grace Forth Frills. I really like this pattern. It was crochet and it's really easy and great for beginners, so if you're nervous about it, it's really good. I decided to twerk it a bit. I color blocked it and I added some kitten pockets. So the colors are on my Ravelry page, and you can find me at Lucy7Kitty on Ravelry. The pattern for the kitten pockets are also at my Ravelry page.
My name is Sam. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. This year's Rhinebeck sweater is 11 Handmaid's Sensum sweater. I found Linda on Instagram a few years ago and fell in love with this pattern. I finally had the courage to make it in Lanigatto's Lancaster yarn. It's a bit warm for me to be wearing it right now, but I can't wait to wear it this winter.
Hey everybody, it's Carolyn Bloom from Bloom Handmade Studio, checking in with you along the Hudson River. I'm here to tell you about my Rhinebeck sweater, which is my water arcade pattern. This is a crocheted design that is really handy for using up your minis, your scraps, your bits, and your bobs, and putting them all together into different wearable pieces. Believe it or not, that pattern was first written for a baby blanket. Here's the original design, which was inspired by that child's game known as Water Arcade. The instructions for the pattern also include the amount of yardage required to make a wrap, like this one, hot off my hook. If you're new to crochet or haven't done it for a while, I've recorded step-by-step instructions on my YouTube channel, which is Bloom Handmade Studio. You can also find the specifications for the sweater on that channel. If you'd like to follow the pattern, you can find that on my website, which is bloomhandmadestudio.com, or on Ravelry, which again the pattern is called Water Arcade.
I'm Cowpatch. And I'm Erin Von Holt. And together we are the C word! Crochet for today! Oh my god. Okay, so we're wearing our Rhinebeck sweaters. This is
the Mossy Pullover.
The Mossy Pullover, designed and made by Erin. They're actually both Erin's sweaters, but I don't have a new sweater.
This is the all-purpose pullover, also by me in Nice and Knit. And Cal's is in all hand spun by Stitched by Melody.
We're feeling very warm and cozy in our crochet sweaters. What's our Ravelry names?
Erin Von Holt.
And I'm Hodgepodge, so find us and say hi.
It's obvious.
Hi. Thanks, Chrissy.
Yay! This is the Anuk Pullover. It is crochet, and it is my own design. It's not out yet. Hopefully by the end of the year, early phases of testing. But it's my first pullover design, and I wanted to share it with you and represent the crocheters. The name is taken from this center detail here, reminded me of lavender buds. It's also mimicked on the sleeve as well. Anuk is a variety of lavender. And also the name means grace or favor, which I really loved. The yarn that I used in this design is Treasure Goddess yarn in the colorway Ghost Ship. Christine dyes exclusively tonal yarns, which are really fantastic for crocheters. And I wanted this to be a, wow, that's crochet, and not a, oh, that's crochet kind of vibe. You know the one. We gotta get rid of that. I want the crocheters to know that they can use fingering weight yarn. This is 12 inches of positive ease on my body, and I made it in less than a week and a half because I was booking it for Christy's video. Madness. If you're looking to find me, basically everywhere in the world, I'm currently Bella's Custom Crochets. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, Etsy, Pinterest, my blog. I have a YouTube podcast. Come find me.
Hi, I'm Anni Quinter on Instagram and Ravelry, and this is my Rhinebeck 2020 sweater. It is the Lila Bjorn's Fjell cardigan. It is a mosaic crocheted cardigan worked in Chepier's Whirl cotton.
I am virtually attending Rhinebeck from Clintonville, Wisconsin. My Rhinebeck sweater is the Blooming Bomber Jacket by Katie Jones. I absolutely loved making it. As you know, it's a crocheted garment. I toned down the color palette. I do love vibrant colors, but not as clothing on me. I don't feel like I can pull that off so well, but I do love the colors that I chose. The yarn I used was Kieran X Pantone, which is a merino blend. I've been working from stash all year, which I'm pretty proud of. And I was pretty delighted that I had enough colors of this particular yarn and enough yardage to make this sweater. One thing I wasn't really sure about if I was gonna like were the big 3D flower pockets. They're just a little bit too much for me, but they did look like they'd be fun to make. And so I made them, and I thought, yeah, they definitely belong on this garment. So here they are. I am Kathy McKay, McKay Crochet, that's M-A-C-K-A-Y Crochet on both Instagram and Ravelry.
I'm Renee, better known as Chop Shop Bitch on Instagram and Ravelry. My Rhinebeck sweater this year is the Tessellation Tee by Stephanie Aaron, and the yarn I used was the Blackest Cascade, and the Kawaii Carnival is by CGCG Yarns. And I'm filming today from my most favorite place in Asheville. It's called Graffiti Kingdom in the River Arts District.
Hi guys! Hope you guys are all well. We miss you. We're coming to you live from Rhinebeck, New York. Just kidding! Psych.
We're actually coming from Perkiomenville, Pennsylvania.
Woo! I guess. So exciting. I am Jessie, and on Instagram you can find me as Hooks and Coffee.
And I'm Kitty, and you can find me as the Knittin' Kitty on Instagram.
And we're here to tell you all about our Rhinebeck sweaters. So my sweater is the Betty Boyfriend Crocheted Sweater by Talia Creations. You can find it on Ravelry. I used Chelsea's Yarns Confetti, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It literally, I feel like, was made just for me. My hat is done in Cat Sandwich Magical Unicorn
held together with Steph from Asylum Fibers, mohair, treposition. I love you, Steph. It's amazing. Kit, what are you wearing?
I made the Binoculus by Knit and Cafe Midori. Look at that.
Beautiful.
I made this sweater in cake yarn.
Cake yarn? You want some?
Cake, 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 cake. So the color that I use is actually called Crush, and it's held with the Hearts of Flutter mohair. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
It was such a fun knit.
It's beautiful.
And my hat is done in Hedgehog Fibers, Damsel. And it's also held with the Hearts of Flutter mohair, and it's a pattern by Chelsea Yarns.
That's right. And wait a minute, we can't forget what's in our ears.
Oh!
These are our Designed by Yasmen earrings, and we absolutely love them.
We do love them.
There is a way you can catch us yarn besties together.
We actually started a podcast called
The Needle and the Hook. So make sure you check us out. We love you. Bye.
This is my ranunculus sweater, and I love it. I certainly understand now why the pattern has been so popular, and I am a little sad it took me so long to finally knit this sweater. I did lengthen the body slightly for myself, and I also used the directions for the smaller neckline. And I knit this out of cake wool.
You want some? Cake, 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 cake.
And I used the non-fat milk, which is a non-superwash, held double with Need, which is the Surrey alpaca. And it is so dreamy soft. I've been wearing it constantly. And I love it so much that I'm going to make a second one for winter that I want to have long sleeves. And my name is Alyssa Baptista, and I'm the dyer behind Cake Wool.
Cake, cake.
And you can find me on Instagram and on my website. And I hope that you have a beautiful fall. Mwah.
I'm Mary Harker, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. I made a short sleeve ranunculus. This is Madeline Tosh DK Twist. It's one of a kind color. No mohair added. I made a second one that I may show you also. I'm Jessie's Mom One on Ravelry, and I'm Mary Earl Harker on Instagram.
Hello, kristyglass. My name is Karen Jacobs, calling from Belgium, Antwerp. I have a ranunculus, short-sleeved, from Midori Hiroshi, and I knitted held two skeins together, Lies from Veritas and Kleur en Draad Guns N' Roses. And this is my Rhinebeck sweater 2020. Greetings from Belgium.
Hi everybody, this is Liz from Chrysalis Yarns. Hi from Greece, and I'm here to talk about my Rhinebeck sweater, which is the lazy sweater designed by Sauce or Suzanne Summer, that I adore and I love so much. So this is a cropped sweater, as you can see, and I really love it because I love those triangles in brioche alternated with gartered stitch, and then it's a simple stockinette. I made it out of my yarn in the base Titan, which is 100% BFL high twisted in the colors Valor Morgulis for the contrasting color, which is the green with some speckles, and Birthday Girl, which is the orangey speckled yarn. I just love it.
I'm Michelle from My Michelle Knits on Instagram. I'm just going to talk really quick about my little sweater. I'm super proud of it because I didn't use a pattern. Basically, the circular yoke was started with a simple 2x2 rib and just increasing every other row or so. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention or counting or actually doing every other row, but I just kind of increased as I went along, and I just kept on knitting until I got to about there, separated for the sleeves. I also added some short rows in the back. I dyed up all the yarn in the summertime. This yarn was dyed up based on memories that I had with my mom and my sister growing up in the summertime. Raspberry Delight, unicorn cupcakes, blueberry slushy, Sally Limon. I didn't finish my sweater, lemon meringue, and after that, is Peaches and Cream. I am so jazzed. My Instagram handle is MyMichelleKnits. Also, you can find maximum yarnage on all social media, including YouTube.
This is my Rhinebeck sweater. This is a Crystal Safe Arts design, and it's also made with her yarn. It's a flower power jacket, and I made it with one of her kits, and I added a bunch of additional colors. She has like 100 colors. They're just fabulous. Super fun to make. I shortened it. I think the pattern goes down to about there. So there you go, my Rhinebeck sweater.
It's Anne Frost from the I Thought I Knew How podcast. You can find me as I Thought I Knew How on Instagram. You very kindly had me on your show a little over a year ago to talk about the MRI Mackers on Shetland who are trying to raise 1.65 million pounds to get an MRI scanner for the Shetland Islands. And I just wanted to give a really quick update. They are almost there. They are within 100,000 pounds of their goal. And the MRI Mackers, which is the group that wrote the patterns and was selling knitted items, have raised 96,000 pounds toward the 1.65 million that they needed for the scanner. So that is amazing. We are trying to get them to 100,000 before the fundraising ends. So if anyone wants to help with that, hop over to mrimackers.com and see how you can help. I am actually just outside of Thurso right now, which is on the north coast of Scotland. We've been driving around, and my project on this trip has been my Rhinebeck sweater, so I wanted to share about that. This is the Calvin sweater designed by Vanessa Knits on Instagram, and I knit it in Morehouse Merino 2-ply Sport. It's in chocolate, which is one of their natural colorways, and Steps of a Toy, which is fun to say. And as you can see, it's a raglan sweater. It has garter up here on the chest, which makes the front come a little bit lower than the back, which is what we want in our sweaters, right? We want the sweater in the back to come a little bit higher to cover our shoulders. So just with that garter section, that gives it that nice shaping. And then it has some stripities. And then it's just a really good, warm, cozy, like hanging out around the house, going out apple picking. Feel like I'm ready for fall.
My name is Ted Partridge. I am a member of the Morehouse Merino Flock. It is the adult Calvin sweater by Vanessa Coscarelli Black. I did it in Morehouse Merino 2-ply in the colors navy and then a variegated yarn called Peacock. I rarely knit a sweater to pattern, so I did make a couple of modifications to my sweater. The sweater pattern has you doing single round stripes, and I did double round. My arms are apparently a little bit bigger than the pattern. It called for 18 decreases down the sleeves, and I only did 14. It was starting to get a little snug on my arms. And the last thing I did is, it's supposed to just be a single layer collar, and I actually like the slightly heavier collar, so I knit and then I did a purl row and then I folded it over and knit it down. I did have to lengthen it a little bit.
Vanessa Coscarelli Black here, Vanessa Knits, and this is my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater. It's called the Calvin sweater. I designed it a few months ago. It's been out now for a little bit, and it is knit in Morehouse Farm 2-ply Merino, which is a sport weight yarn. My colors that I used were aubergine for the main color and lavender for the contrast color. Beautiful shades. And Erin from Morehouse Farm was actually the one that pushed me out of my color comfort zone, because I would have obviously knit it in oatmeal or gray or natural white. And so happy that she pushed me towards the colors. This is a pretty user-friendly, beginner-friendly pattern. The pattern has different rates of increases, obviously, as most raglans do, for the sleeves and the body. But the pattern on the last page has a chart for every size that tells you which increases you need to do on which rows. It is sized as a unisex pattern. I think the smallest size I did was 32¼ inch bust up to 64¼ inch bust. The sleeves are different for men and women just because we're not all built the same. And obviously you can feel free to customize, you know, body length or sleeve length as you see fit. This sweater is kind of the special request from a couple of knitters from the Morehouse Farm knit-along group because I designed the kids version back in May for my son Calvin, who had a very specific design request. He wanted a green and white striped sweater. So I actually FaceTimed him from Vogue Knitting Live from Aaron's booth at Morehouse Farm to show him all the colors, and he picked his colors. We worked on it together, and after it was done, adults said, hey, I want that. So now you have the kids version for size 6 months to 12 years, and adults version from 32¼ to 64¼ inches. You can knit one for everybody in your family.
This is Erin from Morehouse Farm, here with my 2020 Rhinebeck sweater, the Calvin Sweater by Vanessa Knits. She originally designed this for kiddos, and I was so excited when she made it for bigger kids like me. And she designed it in the Morehouse Farm Merino 2-ply sport. I've chosen the colorway Lily. It's one of the small batch hand-painted collection, and it's been really exciting to watch the colors unfold as I've been knitting. And what I'm most excited about is that this sweater about knits itself, because she's got this magic panel in the front here, which helps make this sweater fit every body perfectly without having to do any complicated knitting. So you see this garter stitch panel right here, and in the back it's all stockinette. So what that does through the magic of row gauge is it brings the front down so I don't have a sweater neck choking me in the front, yet it's still high enough in the back that it's comfortable on a beautiful breezy fall day like today, where I'm out to run through the corn maze at Fairview Farm at Mecox.
I'm wearing the Rocket Tee by Tina's Lavallee of Tina's Fiber Arts. It's made from Into the World sock yarn that I got 2 years ago at Rhinebeck, and also Pearl Soho mohair silk. That's the orange. It was actually made from leftovers of my What the Fade shawl that I made from Into the World, same yarn that I got 2 years ago at Rhinebeck. And you can find me on Instagram is Luigi's Slush, and also on Ravelry is Millstone.
I'm Becky Witt. This is my Rhinebeck sweater for 2020. It is the Camaro sweater by Tina's Lavallee, and I knit it out of Acer yarn by 100 Ravens. That's a sport weight yarn. I'm a bright color person. I always knit everything in bright colors. I also am the organizer and founder of Carolina Fiber Retreats and Tours in North Carolina. So come check us out.
My Rhinebeck sweater is a Party of 5 by Jill Zielinski, and I knit it with some yarn that I got last year at Rhinebeck from the Alpaca Yarn Company. This is Happy Trails set, and the main color is by Posh Yarns. My name is Knit and Carry on Ravelry.
It's Anna. I'm coming to you from the beautiful Rhodope Mountains in Bulgaria, and I'm wearing my Rhinebeck sweater. This couldn't be more Rhinebeck because I bought this fleece from Point of View Farm at Rhinebeck in 2018. It took me 2 years to spin it all, but I finally did. And then I combined it with Tukko wool from Finland and put it all together in a beautiful pattern by Christine Birkenwasser. It's called Topaz, and Topaz happens to be my birthstone, which is in November. So this is my Rhinebeck sweater.
We're from Southern Indiana, and this is the Die Hard Knitters group. We decided to make a sweater this season, and we chose the brioche sweater. It is a sweater that we chose because it had a bunch of different techniques that we had not done, including brioche in the round, brioche flat, steeking, and we added our button bands before we actually cut our steek. We could have been a testing group because we have done all different sizes. Our sweaters were knit mostly in Cloudborne Sport, with the exception of Cloudborne DK, and mine has a little bit of Cascade 220 Sport in mine. We are the following. I am So Run Knit on Instagram and on Ravelry.
Tabasco 39 on Ravelry. Needy Pearl 2 on Ravelry. CJ 3712 on Ravelry. Paula Schultz on Ravelry.
I'm Julie from Troy, Ohio, and we have a group here ready to do a video for the Rhinebeck Sweater 2020. My sweater is Leavenwick by Gudrun Johnston. I bought the pattern from her in person in Squam many years ago. The yarn is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, And my Ravelry name is Jules Pearl.
My name is Elizabeth. I am the knitting girl on Ravelry. I am from Beaver Creek, Ohio, but I knit with the group from Troy. This sweater is Arrows Down. The yarn is Brooklyn Tweed Loft, and the designer is Natalie V.
I'm Laura. I'm part of the same group from Troy, Ohio. My Ravelry name is L. Hinders. My sweater is Bleudet from Sol de Tigre, and I used a Lopi yarn that I got at the Woolly Thistle.
I'm Lori. I'm part of the same group from Troy, Ohio. The sweater I'm wearing is Taunton. I did it as a test knit from Deb from Spruce Lane Designs. The yarn is Superwash, DK or Sport, I forget which, from Honeybee Knits. She's a dyer from our area.
I'm Lynn McCown, also from Ohio. My sweater and my Ravelry name is GraceKnit 13, and this is William by Ann Kingstone, and it's done out of Devonia yarn, John Arbor's yarn, and it's fabulous yarn. And I changed pretty much everything except the yoke, but it's fun.
I'm Teresa. I live in Springfield, Ohio, but I'm with this great group from Troy and the Dayton area. My Ravelry name is Teresa, and I'm wearing New Leaf by Jen Steingass, and it is knit in Rowan felted tweed and a Malabrigo, I guess it's Arrow. So this is my Rhinebeck sweater.
I'm Joy McDonnell, and this is my Rhinebeck sweater. It's made from a Jen Steingass pattern, just launched on Ravelry, and it's knitted from Shetland wool. I held a few colors together. I'm here in beautiful Utah, where I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of this great sweater.
I'm Heather from Finland, and I decided to make a modification of the Meadow Moon sweater by Jen Steingass as my Rhinebeck sweater. So I did the yoke twice to have this circle skirt, and this is how it looks like. Happy Rhinebeck 2020, sort of around the world, everyone.
I'm Shelly from Shelly and Yarnia on Instagram. This is the Arbor Reel by Jennifer Steingass. It is made with Barocco DK.
I'm Danielle, also known as Obsidian Pearl on Ravelry and Instagram. And today I'm wearing my Celosia sweater by Jennifer Steinglass. What I had decided last year during Rhinebeck is that I wanted to make another sweater specifically to wear up on the hill, but that the sweater had to be something that challenged myself. So this year's challenge was that I hand spun the entire sweater myself before I knitted it. I did it in less than 2 months, so I am really geeked about that. I don't even know where the fiber came from anymore because it's been in my stash for so long, but it was a blend of Corriedale, Shetland, and alpaca, and I'm really excited by how it turned out. So though I can't be with you this year in person, I hope that everyone is happy, healthy, and safe at home. And I am looking forward to seeing the community again in 2021.
My name is Simone. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and this is my Aurelis by Jennifer Steingass. I purchased the blue main color from a little rescue farm in Southern Oregon called Shaggy Bear Farms. She raises Pygora goats. If you didn't know, Pygora goats were developed here in Oregon, so it's a double Oregon whammy. What's interesting about Pygora goats is they're actually a hybrid of pygmy goats and Angora goats developed just down the road in Oregon City, Oregon. The contrast color is Spin Cycle Neverweary in the Ish tint. I bought it on a whim one night at knit night at Starlight Knitting Society, and they sat in my stash for a while, and then one day I decided these two need to go together. So it's my first color work. I made a few adjustments. I did a split hem and a twisted rib, but other than that it was super easy. First color work, love it.
I'm Belle. This is my Rhinebeck sweater. The pattern is Garden Gate by Jen Steingass. I loved it from the first time I saw it, couldn't wait to knit it. This is the 6th sweater I've knit and my first color work. I used Madelinetosh Merino Light in Venti Dragon Mocha and Dirty Panther. You can find me on Instagram as SlugHollowV.
This is the Althea Pullover by Jennifer Steingass. I've always wanted to do one of her sweaters, and when I saw this yarn, the Plateau Lopi yarn that I got, it was a kit that I got from the Woolly Thistle. I know I had to make it. So this is my sweater. I love it. The yarn was really easy to work with, but you did have to get used to it because it's not spun tightly. It's easy to pull apart, but you get used to it as you work with it. I love the subtle contrast of the light gray and the white. I love the garter cuffs. I made my neckband a little wider. I thought I was going to fold it down, but I decided to keep it up. I really like this look. And you know, I always have to have a hat, so I combined both the gray and the white yarn and made a Ricky hat, and that's a pattern by Sarah Young. Can't wait to wear it out in the wilds, in the knitting wilds one day.
Hi, I'm Dempsey.
I'm Lara. I'm Renata.
We knit Goldwing by Jennifer Steingass. I used Neighborhood Fiber Company Studio Worsted in Broadway Market in the blue and Madeline Tosh Vintage in Celadon for the green.
I used Malabrigo Rios in Glitter and Cosmos.
I used Neighborhood Fiber in Bolton Hill and La Bien and May in Drea for the DK. And we live in Brooklyn and we're in beautiful Prospect Park.
Woo!
We made it. That was so incredible. Thank you to everyone for submitting a video. It made all the difference. I loved opening up my email every day for the past several weeks and editing it together to make this amazing, amazing video that will go down in history, really. I'm so glad that people from around the world could be a part of it. And thank you so much, Knit and Escape, for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to enter for an all-access pass. The link is underneath this video. I cannot wait to see you at our virtual event in December. Thank you, as always, for supporting me here on my channel at Kristyglass Knits, and see you later. Bye! Happy Rhinebeck!